Good morning, everybody. Grand Rising. I know that the thing said it was going to be 11:10 p.m. I forgot to change the little thing p.m. to a.m., but it's a.m. You let a.m. We in the a.m. We in the a.m. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Welcome to the show. Yeah, we didn't have a show yesterday because I had deliveries and maintenance yesterday, and I thought the maintenance they were all supposed to come at a different time, but they came uh, like 9 o'clock this morning and didn't 9 o'clock in the morning didn't finish till around 1 o'clock. So here we are today. Here we are today. Still expect a couple of deliveries today, but I think they'll leave those at the door. Don't think we'll have to be interrupted. So I hope everybody had a good uh, Tuesday. And but we still even because I thought Monday was Tuesday, and that's why I did a live on Monday because I thought Monday was Tuesday. I got my days all mixed up. We're gonna see if a cigar works in this small room today. This tab is using extra resources to improve your performance. I don't know what that is, but we gonna let know. What up, Jane Square? So, yeah, I thought that Monday was Tuesday. That's why we had a live on Monday. So don't get if you're new to the channel, we do lives Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, not on Monday. So if you saw that Monday live, that's because I was confused on what day it was. After coming off vacation and travel, sometimes you're not quite caught up with what day it is and whatnot. So I was thrown off. But today we're going to talk about the monks and their peace walk. Monks and their peace walk. Uh, if you don't know about that by now, you just haven't been paying attention. And let you know it on TikTok over here, Facebook and YouTube over on the laptop. But if you don't know about the monks and their peace walk, it started out here in Texas, and some monks are walking for peace. That's it. Not trying to have audiences with world leaders, not trying to convert people, don't even want other people to walk with them, you know. And yes, I was thoroughly embarrassed by some of my Atlanta people, my home people. Mainly that the Clayton County City Councilwoman, well, she's city commissioner. She turned it into a political event for herself and has been promoting it continuously as a political event for herself. But other than that, I expected them to become overwhelmed when they got into Atlanta. I'm surprised they went through a major city. You would think that they would avoid the larger cities uh, because I don't think. I mean, when they get to DC, it's gonna be too many damn people. They will probably have too many people in Raleigh, Durham. But needless to say, being overwhelmed because people show up is one thing, but then they get up into Morrow, Georgia, and Grace Baptist Church decides that they're going to protest the monks walking. They stood on the hillside. They had signs, and I had one person who commented because one sign said something about Islam, that they were protesting Islam. That's stupid. The whole sign, and I'll do a video about this later on today, a separate video. But you have Christians who have been meeting them where their church, Ebenezer, there's not the Ebenezer Baptist Church in downtown Atlanta, but another Ebenezer Baptist Church that sits on the corner of the pathway. And you had I don't know if he was the pastor or who he was to that church, stopping the monks, getting in their way, interrupting the walk, so he can try to convince him that what they're doing is spreading evil, that what they're doing is trying to convert people over to Buddhism, and that the only way to peace is through their God, through Jesus, right? And that there's no way that they can have peace in this, and they can't march for peace, that they're demonic in what they're doing. How can Christians who ain't doing shit, Christians celebrating what happened in Venezuela, celebrate when things happen in Ukraine, and celebrate when Palestinians get bombed, claim that their God is the Prince of Peace, claim that they are the followers of this Prince of Peace, right? Why do we where's the Christians bringing peace? Because from far as I can tell, the Christians are bringing the same type of war and bullshit, and or ignoring things and saying, well, those aren't real Christians. You know, they're not real Christians. The Christians that will get in the way of the monks aren't real Christians. The Christians that will celebrate the death of Palestinians aren't real Christians. Right. So where is that? And just like I got a Christian over here on TikTok. Oh, political and religion, typical for a liberal. Making statements about a person that you don't even know. If I were actually to say so, over the majority of my life, I have been more conservative than I have been liberal. Yeah, idiot. See, this is what I'm saying. But if I'm not MAGA, then you're liberal. You see, Christians, if it's supposed to be about peace, they invite more confrontation. They are confrontational. They seem to be angered. And when it comes to this walk, they seem to be angered that another religion is getting attention that they're not getting. Right? They're angry. And see, he Notorious did exactly what I expect Christians to do. I heard you, sir. You're putting Trump with Christianity. Trump claims to be a Christian. You see, that's the thing. You're not a real Christian. Those aren't real Christians. Trump's not a real Christian. Anybody who, bashes gay people, they're not real Christians. Anyone who kills kills somebody and goes to jail, they're not real Christians. It always amazes me that the only real Christian is the Christian who's doing the talking, that no one else is ever a real Christian. Let's see. No, he actually wants to come up and talk. Notorious. What's your name?
My name is Brutus.
Okay, Brutus. And are you over 21?
I am 31.
All right. And are you a Christian?
I am a Christian.
Okay. So why do you think so many Christians are... Excuse me?
What? I was going to say that I remember you say it. They can do their peace laws. They have to know influence.
What do you think about the Christians who have been protesting them and interfering with their peace walk? Are they being... Huh? Okay.
They're wrong for doing that. They shouldn't disrupt somebody for doing their own peace walk.
Why do you think they're doing that?
I don't know, for their own interest, because that's not in God's interest.
Right. Because I would think that a modern day Christian would think that it's a great thing. They would support that type of activity of bringing peace, of desiring peace.
They support peace, but we don't agree with the verbal pledge.
But that has nothing to do with peace. Peace is not something that one religion, holds all the cards for.
What are the two ways of obtaining peace?
What are the two ways of obtaining peace? Mm-hmm. I've never heard that there were only two ways of obtaining peace. So I'm gonna need more of a description of the question.
Okay, so let me ask it in a different way. What do you think gives peace?
Peace is going, well, that's kind of relative. I've never thought about that. That's actually a good question. I never thought about that. Because people are going to have peace in different. If we're talking individual, people are going to find peace differently. Now, if we're talking kind of a general thing, then peace would be when people have the opportunity to just live their life without being trampled on by other people, as long and be able to live how they want to live, as long as it's not hurting someone else. So I think that if everybody had that mindset where I get to live my life, I choose my pathway, but the only things I can't do is something that takes away from somebody else's opportunity to do the same, then that would be peace.
Let me bring an example of what I'm discussing. So, like, for example, I would say the peace that was with Germany, you know, when they had the leader like Hitler,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he believed that that was his way of peace, right? Like, for his own country, right? He wanted to trample on everybody else,
right?
That was impeding his peace.
Yeah, he believed that would bring his way of peace was total domination of other people and the subjugation of other people.
And now I can bring up another example, like you have like different small tribes of women that call themselves matriarchies. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have their peace from their small secluded villages. They don't have any outside influences. Nobody's trying to convert them or doing anything. They're living in their own peace.
Okay.
Okay. And now another side of peace. Another side of peace is like when we were talking about like the world wars. You know, it was said that after the wars, you know, we had peace from all the different conflicts that was going on when somebody became the winner, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the reason why I said there's only few reasons of obtaining peace.
And your few reasons are through military conquest or to leave people alone.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't like, and it's not in disagreement. It's an unfortunate human condition. So when I say unfortunately, that's what I mean. It's unfortunate that we have the human condition that war is sometimes needed in order to achieve some level of peace. Right?
Yeah.
And generally, we have war because either someone wanted someone else's resources. Someone tried to take away from somebody just living their life. Which
take away somebody's freedom for their own benefits,
which ultimately
they would become their own peace.
Right. Now, if people and that's why I say that if people pretty much mind their own damn business, stay in their lane, live their lives, and seek out their own peace. Like instead of us trying to go and get somebody else's oil, dig for our own oil and use our own oil. Instead of trying to get somebody else's resources, you know, figure out how to utilize the resources that you have or trade with them fairly. That would.
Do you think that other countries was trading us fairly?
See, for me, when it comes to looking at the world, I don't look at it through the lens of my nationalism. See, when we're talking about peace, see, because America does every country treat America fairly? No. But does America treat other countries fairly? No. And America is not this pristine country that's we only treat unfairly those who have treated us unfairly. We treat people
No, because we want to be the land of freedom and opportunity if we want.
That's what's on the marquee, but that is not the reality. America is not trying to be the land of freedom and opportunity. If America was trying to be the land of freedom and opportunity, then there are people groups that would be living a much higher political and financial life if it was trying to be that. How many times have America interfered with the growth of certain population sectors, interfered with the growth of women, interfered with the growth of people of color? America has not trying to promote that, and still are interfering. We send in ICE only to people of color. We ain't sent ICE to the Canadians who done came in illegally, to the Irish and the Germans or the Polish who have come into this country illegally. We only sent. Huh?
Let me ask you a question then. So if somebody was at your door, are you going to just let them in?
No.
Why not?
I need to know who you are.
Right, because you would let in people that's your family, that's your friends, maybe somebody is a friend of your family.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's different requirements for who you let enter your home.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And the people who are strangers to you, they have to prove themselves to enter your home.
Yep.
Right.
So
they do. If you flip that to how immigration is, we want people to come into our country, but we want them to come in legally, right? Legally would mean that you come in with permission, not with your own free will. You know what I'm saying?
That would be correct if the system was fair. But instead, the system is set up where if this person has a degree, they're welcome to come into my country, into my house. But if this person is just a farmer or is a ditch digger, well, I'm not going to let that person in. And it's also set up where if this person is from the heredity of my heredity, I'm going to let them in. But these ones, we're not going to let them in. Like, I spent a little bit of time working with Border Patrol, and it is, and not at the street level, at the more policy making level. And what I saw, not that I was making policy, I was not, but what I saw is that there is definitely there's more opportunities to come from other westernized, more industrialized countries than there are to come from less industrialized countries. But who would need the opportunity more? Who would work harder for the opportunity? And there are just too many hurdles that they put in place for people coming out of less industrialized countries. It's not a fair thing. To me, if you allow 10 people to come out of France, now let me just put it like this. Just allow 10 people to come from every country. Let's not do these countries get this many people and that country get that many people. Just make it plain, flat across the board. And then people apply and they get in. People on the waiting list, you waiting. But the fact that you allow for a hell of a lot more people to come in from Canada, to come in from Europe, to come in from Japan, but then when you look at South American countries, and except for Argentina, but when you look at most of the South American countries, Central American countries, African countries, most of the other Asian countries, they get minimal amount of people that they allow in.
And the only real reason why we have this issue about immigration right now is from Barack Obama or Joe Biden.
Come on, man. We've had immigration I've been voting since Reagan. We've had immigration problems since Reagan, and with every president.
If you look through the statistics, no, you haven't.
There's been the whole immigration through the Mexican border since I was as far back as I can remember of first paying attention to politics, which was in 1980. I was literally like 9 years old when it was first brought to my attention. And
But we haven't had streams of people coming in like the latter years.
yes, we did. There were plenty of times that we did.
We had like under Bill Clinton, we only had like 1.4 million come in.
Under Bill Clinton.
Under Bill Clinton.
Okay. But what does that matter? What are we getting at here? That
what I'm getting at is that in the recent years, it has become evident that they have started to allow more immigrants come into our country illegally rather than legally.
Okay. But what does that have to do with the fairness or unfairness of the system itself? I mean, the system says that if you are a Cuban on a boat and you make it to Miami, you get asylum. If you are Haitian and you get on and you make it on a boat, we're gonna put you in jail and send you back. All right.
Well, because you're not understanding that now that we have a person that is trying to stop immigration, now we have better ways of trying to say, okay, you're going to have to take this test. You're going to have to get approved before you come into the country. If you don't, if we find out that maybe one of your family members was illegal coming into this country, that means all of you have to go.
So we're going to punish one person. We're going to punish everybody for one person's mistake. But then we already have a test that they have to take. Well, you're talking about a pre-test, like to get in. Not the citizenship test. So I just confused myself on that. Yeah, I thought you were talking about the citizenship
test. Extra test that is there now in place.
Okay, but what does that have to do with the inequality of who gets to come in and who doesn't? The fact that depending upon what country you're coming from, you don't get to come in. Cubans can come in, Haitians can't come in. Canadians, they just come and go as they please. But Mexicans can't. So where's the fairness?
So let me put on your fair comparison of Canada versus Mexico. Mm-hmm. All right. So Canada, they were doing stuff for us. They've been providing us different stuff. Like, I guess now they do have our issues right now, but they're not doing anything crazy with us. Like, I don't know, like how China, they made cars in Mexico and then they brought them up through the United States, so they can sell them off, so they don't have to pay any no taxes or anything like that and such. Mexico, they also have like the different drug cartels and different other stuff that's going on in that region. People are fleeing the country because of like all the heinous things that are happening around over there. So this is why that is why it's a huge difference when you're talking about Canada versus Mexico.
Right.
You don't hear crap coming from Canada. I hear crap coming from Mexico. Why?
Did you say crap or crack?
Crap. I didn't say crack.
No, I'm still not like CRACK or GRAPE. Okay, okay, the P. And I said PE, like I can't spell. Okay, it was really I wasn't trying to be funny. I just couldn't understand hear the difference.
I understood.
Yeah. Okay. So here's what's funny to me though, and I get what you're saying. I'm not saying Mexico don't have its problems, and I'm not saying that there's not an issue, but more fentanyl and ecstasy is trafficked through Canada than what is trafficked from Venezuela or Mexico. Well, let's stick with Mexico. Than what's coming out of Mexico. But yet, yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. You have to do more research. You have to go and like dig deep in there to find it. Let me see something.
Where can I find it? I'll be happy to pull it up right now. Let's see.
Let me pull it up. Oh, so let me correct myself. So Mexico does bring more fentanyl. I would, because my comparison when I first saw the information on it, it was comparing Canada and Venezuela, but Mexico does produce more fentanyl, but there is still a significant amount of fentanyl comes out of Canada. Now, for ecstasy, it says that Canada has been the principal source for ecstasy. Now, I don't know if ecstasy is problematic like fentanyl. Because admittedly, I don't know much about
the
ecstasy.
only way you can get like the bad off of that is if you're taking too much of the dosage.
Mm-hmm.
But fentanyl, the only reason why that is bad because it slowly kills you. It like unalives you.
Okay. Now it does say that it's significantly less than the U.S.-Mexican border, but that it has. But from Canada, it has become an international problem, with excess products being exported to lucrative international markets, including Australia, and is often trafficked in smaller personal quantities via methods of the dark web and mail service. Damn, mail service. They mail servicing drugs. But
man, that's a thing that's been as old as time.
Really?
Yeah. Why do you think they have drug dogs and
yeah, that's true. But so to the point though, it's always that they point the finger at the brown countries, just to be straight up with it, at the brown countries, and then want to make them out to be the villain when the issue is all around. Now I understand that.
Thailand a brown country?
Huh?
Is Thailand a brown country?
Yeah, somewhat brown. Yeah, it's a brown country.
Is Germany a brown country?
No.
Is France a brown country?
No.
Is Europe a brown country?
Well, Europe, the continent, no.
So, in all these different other places, they're not brown. But why do you guys keep saying brown when you're saying illegals?
So, okay, so look,
me and you are brown skinned.
Yeah.
Like,
now, technically, everybody got melanin, but when we're talking about it from a political and politics and race is something that man makes, man creates, man defines. So the usage of brown people is different depending upon what the conversation is. If we were speaking from a strictly scientific approach, then the whole world is brown. And there's very few people who have no pigmentation whatsoever. But speaking from a political or race-based subject matter, then we make the distinction between brown people and white people, even though there's no such thing as a white person, but scientifically. So that's all that is meant by that.
So let me get this straight. So you're using it because you don't want to use the word illegal.
No. People come into the country illegally. I'm not saying that there aren't illegal people who come into the country. What I'm saying is that, and what I said in that started this part of the conversation, and we went away from the monks. But what started this conversation is that they are only going after the illegal people from the brown countries. They are ignoring the illegals that come in from the. So let me just, since I understand the difference in your difference between the terms, they are only going after illegal people. They're not going after illegal people who come from European countries, from Canada, from Australia. They are only concerned with illegal people from the Mexicos, Africas, Asia. Those are the only ones that they're concerned about. They're falsely sending people back. And of course, I get even more pissed when they send veterans back. As a veteran myself, it's like, not only did this person come to this country, but they fought for this country. So when they're doing that, and it even creates, situation where people don't even want to show up to places, go to work, do whatever, because all they're doing is they're focusing on that one type of person. So that's where that stemmed from. But illegal, no, I think the system is just broken and it's unfair. And that's why you have so many people from non-Western countries that do come in illegally, because they're not getting a fair opportunity to come in legally. That was my whole thing about the whole legal illegal thing, is that it's just not done fairly.
Oh, okay. Well, first and foremost, I did hear you mention that you said that people who served in the military was getting sent back to their countries.
Yeah.
Right? So, can you educate me on that a little bit?
So I don't remember their names, the names of the peoples that has happened to, but there's been at least about 4 or 5 cases reported where these very untrained ICE agents, because they were just hiring any damn body, they literally would hire me to do ICE at my age, and usually you got to be younger for those types of jobs. But anyway, but
they do propaganda just like the regular military.
They did what?
They do regular propaganda just like the regular military.
I don't understand what you mean by that statement. They do regular propaganda.
Saying that how like they have the border, you become a border patrol.
Oh,
become
yeah,
agent.
Yes,
that's propaganda.
Yeah, gotcha. Yes, they were doing that, and they like lifted the age requirement, lifted the physical requirement, poorly trained these people, and just put them out on the streets without them understanding the laws, people, and the constitutional rights. So they put these people out there, and then they're giving them orders that we want, we got numbers, we got a quota that we need to hit. So what has happened is that they have deported. It was one gentleman. The first one I saw was I think he was Japanese, but he was a Vietnam vet, and they deported him, and I think it was Japanese. I'm not exactly sure which country he was from over there, but I know he was Asian, and they deported this man, and he was a vet. And then then I saw where there was another guy. He was from Central American country, served in the military during Desert Storm, deported him.
So far, what I've gotten off of what you said is that it says thousands of non-citizen U.S. military veterans, often lawfully permitted residents, have been deported due to criminal convictions, lacking some consistent applications of ICE policies, leading to the separation from family and barriers to earn VA benefits, prompting advocacy and efforts like DHS, immigration, military members, and veterans initiative to bring them back. And that's all I got so far of this.
Okay, so you did a basic Google search, U.S.
Yeah, and I'm looking down the different one. It says Purple Heart, Iran veteran deported to unknown location. You have a deported to South Korea. Is this the South John Park that you were talking
I
about?
think that's the first one. Yeah, that's the first one that when I first took notice of it or saw it.
He was removed, ordered related to a 15-year-old drug possession charges.
Okay, I want you to think about this for a second, man.
Okay.
You see, so people will use that as a justification. This man served through the military, and by serving through the military, I forgot how many number of years you have to serve, but you become a citizen. So this man is now technically he was a citizen, and he gets out of the military. A lot of people who get out of the military, especially those who serve during combat, have run-ins with the law. But run-ins with the law don't justify taking away this man's rights and what he had given up in order to become a citizen of the United States. That would be like you kicking me out this country because I broke a law. Because that man served. He did something that most American-born Americans will not do and have not done. He's given more commitment to being in this country, made a promise, a oath to the Constitution of the United States. And because he got out and he wasn't walking a straight and narrow and they saw an opportunity to kick him out, that's bullshit. That man deserves to be more in America than a hell of a lot of people who were born in this country. Because the majority of people who complain about shit in this country ain't lifted a fucking finger. And I'm sorry, I'm getting a little pissed about this one. And because I understand what it's like being out there. I know what you got to do. I know what you got to deal with. I seen shit that I wasn't supposed to see. I thought I picked a safe job in the military, to be honest. But it didn't turn out that way.
Did you not see all of the unalivement waivers you had to write before you went in?
Bruh, I was 18 years old doing that shit by myself without parents.
But I mean, you didn't at least look at the documentation as you
Oh shit, sorry.
Going through it?
I looked at it, but I was a kid.
Well, you must have a phone call.
Can you hear me? Oh shit, I did. Hold on. My bad.
No, you're good.
No, I heard everything you were saying. But no, I mean, I was an 18-year-old kid. You know, I read it, but did I fully understand it? No. Did I do some research and see? And did my recruiter tell me that, hey, I'm gonna put you with this MOS, this job, you ain't gonna ever see combat? You know, that's what the recruiter told me. You know, so.
Oh, what was your MOS?
Well, my MOS is a supply administration. That's what the paperwork say.
Supply administration. That's a good one.
Yeah, but the Marine Corps is a different type of animal.
And the Marine Corps says that even if you're in a peaceful job, you still need to know how to fight.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody's primary MOS in the Marine Corps is infantry. That's why we all go through SOI. I don't know if they still call it that today, but it's like a basic infantry school. And then if you are straight up infantry, you go into deeper, large, longer schools. But everybody's a basic rifleman. That's why we all have to qualify and continue to shoot, and every year.
So that's why I say, is it really a peaceful job?
Not in the Marine Corps. Not in the Marine Corps.
Like, come on. Like, I get you were 18, you were going through it. But if you really think about it, even if you were going off of maybe the basis of like you were playing Call of Duty or like Rainbow Six or something like that, you don't think that like it's just gonna come in a scenario be like, oh well, hey guy, you gotta go to the front lines. Like everybody's getting like total down, so you gotta get there.
No, I honestly didn't. This is pre-internet when I went in. You know, I'm 54, so this is pre-internet. There's no internet at this time frame.
Oh, so you were around when they had like regulations of like
you have to read,
getting on the recruits and everything. Like they don't have the not now they got the policy of I can touch everything but you.
Yeah, no, we could. Yeah, yeah, we got touched, but
everything but you. I can touch your clothes. I can touch your boot bands. I can touch your boots. No, but it ain't your skin. It don't matter.
Yeah, no, but we had so you know we didn't have all that kind of thing, and so you trusted the recruiter, and you know nowadays this is a lot different. You can there are some safe jobs, but not in the Marine Corps. There still aren't any safe jobs in the Marine Corps.
Yeah, no.
But never be. But no, like there's a Jamaican dude. They deported him. But what I was saying is that, you know, if you served and you served that amount of time, and especially if you served in a combat zone, it's most likely you got some PTSD. It's most likely you got some other type of issues going on. And if you have a run-in with the law, this is why the VA they got housing if you're having serious problems, where you can come and stay there. Like there should not be a homeless veteran, because every veteran can go to VA got housing. They got so many rehabilitation programs. But deporting someone back to South Korea, deporting someone to Jamaica, back to Jamaica, because you had a run-in with the law. How many jokers smoke weed?
I'm smoking right now.
And only because my torch is empty. I'm not, because I was going to experiment and have a cigar in here to see if it works in this room. But
yeah, I was sitting here with your cigar earlier.
Yeah, but the torch is empty. So I'm like, how is this thing empty? It pisses me off.
You don't light it with a match?
I mean, I can. I don't normally. It's cleaner. I'm glad
you know that's supposed to preserve the flavor.
Only if you have certain matches.
Yeah.
I see certain jokers trying to light it with a match and messing it up all the time.
Oh. Man, they must not be the true Don.
Yeah, because as soon as you light it, as soon as they strike the match, they start lighting, and all that red tip, whatever that is. Thank you. My wife just sent me a message saying check the Mustang box, and that's what I was checking. And I found one.
I'm trying to look up this Korean dude's like the amount of years he served. It's not really giving me nothing. It's giving me he just was in the United States for over 50 years.
Did he serve in combat?
He said he served in Vietnam War.
Right. That's enough for me. He shouldn't have been deported. Not for that. I can understand if he was doing some, you caught the man stealing secret information or something like that. But I don't care if you caught him with a kilo of cocaine. He shouldn't get deported. He's an American citizen. You don't deport American citizens. Because basically you're saying, you know what that's like? And this is personal. That's like when you marry into a family and then you treat that family better than you treat your own family that you came from. But then you do something and they want to divorce you and kick you to the curb when you not gave more to that family than you gave to your other family. And then they think they're fine, they just like, well, we know you've been here for us. We know you've changed a lot of our lives. We know our lives wouldn't be as good as it is without you have been a part of it. But you know what? You made this mistake, so now we don't need you no more. Get the hell on. That's what that's like. And I'm sure any man who's been married and divorced, because men have a tendency to gravitate a lot more towards the wife family because they spend more time with them. And if you've gotten divorced, oftentimes them in-laws ain't in-laws no damn more. They treating you like they ain't never met you. Or they got that 10-foot pole.
Okay.
And that's how America did this man.
To the story, they said he was arrested for what did he say, for crack? For crack, he said.
Like he was using crack?
Yeah, he was using crack.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's bullshit. How many Americans have been caught with large amounts of cocaine or marijuana, murdered people? We ain't deporting them, but you're going to deport somebody who now fought in Vietnam for this country. Maybe it's just me. I just see that as being hypocritical as shit, as being unfair, as picking on somebody because you're trying to keep your numbers up. And that's the bullshit that I'm talking about. And I got to weave this back to where we were, to the main subject here.
Yeah, we can go back.
Right. But this is, but even that in itself is peace. If I came to America, like I served with a lot of guys who were in the military to become American citizens. And they served their time. And I can imagine that right now, they don't have peace at home because they know they can get deported, right? So these monks who are walking for peace, they haven't been specific. They're not saying that we walking for peace because we want everybody to start practicing Buddhism and whatnot. You know, they only answer questions when people ask them. So so Christians being upset with them doesn't make sense to me other than jealousy and arrogance. And that's the only reason I can find for these Christians who are interrupting their marches, their walk. And when they have gatherings, people interrupting their gathering. But you say you disagree with the people interrupting their march as well, right?
What was that question? Sorry.
I say you said you disagree. You don't think that they should be interrupting their marches as well, though. I think that point we are in agreement.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. Like if Christians are interrupting somebody's peace walks, I don't agree with that. But is it all Christians?
Unfortunately, yeah, that's the only ones who've been doing it on this walk. Hey, I mean, do they walking through the Southeast? that's Bible Belt like a champ.
There's been reports of like Christian gatherings that has been stopping it.
Well, so stopping it, they can't stop it. Like one of the videos, there's the I guess they hit the corner of this Ebenezer Baptist Church somewhere in North or South Carolina, and the pastor there is out there with his, or I ain't gonna say he's the pastor, but there's just one gentleman out there with his big ass sign, and he steps in front of the leader. And then, you know, the Buddhist mentality is that they will stop and give that person the time that they need to talk. Right. But he purposely stood in the pathway. In Morrow, Georgia, they were standing on the hillside, and while the Buddhist monks were thanking the people and for, you know, being there and supporting their efforts, they're on the hillside protesting and yelling and using bullhorns and whatnot to try to overtalk them. And the monks are just like, hey, just let people say what they want to say. You know, don't get mad at them and don't start nothing. So you're having those types of incidences that are happening.
Okay, so I'm looking specifically at like if anything has been interrupted here. And all I'm getting is monks pass through on peace walks. Monks make a stop in Georgia. Monks gather in the Atlanta temple. A monk who was hit by a car during the walk.
I can't bring up the videos on TikTok so you can see the videos. They're on my phone that I saved. I'm going to be making a video later on showing those videos. But let's see. Yeah, I'm not that.
You said what particular area did you say they were being interrupted?
Oh, I think it was Morrow County, Georgia.
Georgia?
Yeah, Morrow, Georgia, I think.
Georgia. Monks reunite. Okay, so this is the one where he got somebody was hit by a car.
No, that was in. I thought that was in Texas.
Just saying it was in.
You saw the news with Fox News. News is claiming President Trump is declining in the polls. President Trump responded. Monk who was hit by a car during the Walk for Peace in November is back home here in Metro Atlanta just in time. The other monks as they passed through Gwinnett County. Tracy Amick Pier was there as they reunited. She joined the staff of the Buddhist temple in Snellville.
Now, today's reunion is the first time these monks have seen their fellow monk since he was hit by a car and lost his leg. He tells me he's at peace with what's happened. Some good has come out of his injury.
I don't have time to turn to see, but that's hit me, and I feel I die.
On November 11th,
In Dayton, Texas.
was walking for peace with a group of other Buddhist monks on the side of the road, about 30 miles east of Houston, Texas, when a car slammed into the monk's escort vehicle, which then hit Kamasan. He tells me he thought he was dying.
At the moment where I was hit, I felt myself sliding across the ground. But with Buddhist belief, we believe that when we are just of our awareness, when we are about to die, it eliminates the chance of us going to hell, and it gives us a more direct route into heaven and nirvana.
Kamasan lived and was rushed to the hospital in Houston, where he
So
yeah,
a little bit into this that story we can talk about. So specifically, where is it that it was like somebody Christian?
You know what? Actually, on
Or is
hold
it
on.
just an assumption?
Hold on. I wonder if I can change. This sucks. So TikTok don't let you play videos while you're doing a live. You can't do like the video thing. No, it doesn't. Because I have them on my phone.
I mean, I've seen people do it, but I think they have like two different like screenings for that.
Yeah, they're using a different streaming source.
Yeah, like they're using two different broadening streams at the same time.
Because I know you can't see that picture very well that's on there. But this was the scene in Georgia when they were having a conversation. They were talking to the people, and there was protests up on the hillside. It went mainly based on a video that another person was recording.
Let's see. Community gather to Or as monks, no, that's not it.
Mm-mm.
Peaceful arts despite injuries, no, that's not it. Message for people. No.
Got to be a way I can do this.
By choosing peace. I see the picture in this one that you was talking about. It says that somebody was doing a reaction step by choosing peace. Georgia watched open hearts open. They walk across the state. So I see that same picture in this one. Hold on, let me.
Now, don't get me wrong. See that picture actually is stretched, and there's the people who are not in. Hold on. There's something that I can do.
That's the same picture that I see.
I can barely see that. It's real tiny.
Put me on the big screen right quick.
You know, Tiger Lily said they saw that and it was. I'm trying to figure out how to do what you just said. Switch spots. Switch notorious spot with. Okay. Well, that's not it. TikTok recently changed how their lives work. The options. So they move stuff around. That's flip camera. I don't know how to do what you. I don't see it.
No.
I hit swap spots. Huh?
But so okay, let me.
Yeah, I hit swap spots and it didn't work. But the thing is there like I said, Dr. Tiger Lily was saying that, yes, I saw the video and it was a Christian holding a big sign condemning them to hell. And like that was the one where they was on the corner of, I think it's, if I remember correctly, it was like an Ebenezer Baptist church. And he stood in front of them, kept them from walking.
Dang it, it brought me to a Facebook post about it. Now I want to see that. The monks walked to the tour. Tucker was required discipline, but be loud. Muslims stomps on Bibles in Atlanta.
Okay, so let me see. I'm gonna try some more. But I need everybody to be able to see this. You're messing me up, man.
I'm sorry, brother.
No, you messed me up because I was like, I just wanted to talk about the. I had the videos of it and things of that nature. I was going to. I'm making a video later talking about this same subject. You know, so there's a short form version of it. So of course, my organization of it happens after this show. You got me a little ahead of time, trying to where my stuff ain't all this. It's all right, bro. I have no problems.
I know. That's why I'm working with you. I'm trying to find the video as well.
Oh no, I found the video. But I'm trying to figure out how you can see it as well. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen though?
Yeah, I can see it, but you gotta lower your camera. Yeah, just a little bit more, so I can see the actual. Okay, so it is a Facebook post.
This one is an Instagram post.
I got that.
It doesn't matter. Your soul is on the line, right? Your soul is on the line. We all walk and we are not talking about anything. Your soul, you are. When you do your chant, your little rituals, you're spreading it. And if your peace is not rooted in Christ, then it's false peace. And I love you enough to tell you that. I love you and your fellow monks to tell you that what you're doing is you're walking your way to hell, and I don't want that for you. No, it's not okay.
If we have to go to hell, it's
No,
okay.
no, God did, amen. God didn't make you for hell.
It's okay.
Wow, what love is that?
We would love if
No,
Exactly. We go to hell, we made that choice.
that's not
Yeah,
true.
our
I want
way,
you to get on
then
the
let us
right
go.
way.
Let
what
us
I'm
go
do-
the way we
If
are.
I didn't say anything, it'd be like you were in a burning house and I didn't say anything.
I
love
got your
you.
message already.
I love
Okay.
you, and I'm
No,
gonna
I
be
love
here
you,
every step of
seriously.
the way.
I'm telling you, I love you, and
I love
I
you.
wish you well and happiness.
I want you to walk.
And
in
I
the truth.
understand your message.
I want you to walk. In
And we have our own journey. You
Okay.
have your own
And we're
journey.
gonna-
So let
I
us
look
walk
forward to
on
it.
each. Let us walk on each our own path. But at the end, we always come together.
No, we
Okay.
no, God
Yes.
has no fellowship with the
Hold on.
Can you please let him?
Yeah, and the lady was just about telling, can you please let him walk? And this is when they were,
I mean,
hold on, gotta get the other one. So this
it's
other one,
not. If somebody interrupt, like,
In yourself, our mind, our thoughts.
oh, I said it was Monroe, but it's Monroe,
So
Georgia.
let everybody say whatever they want to say because it's freedom, right? We just have to quiet ourselves.
You see the people up on the hill?
We are not here trying to convert anybody or trying to persuade anybody to come with us. We are here for just one mission together: to have peace for our own, to have peace for this country, to have peace for this universe.
All right. Somewhat got me messed up here. Oh, what the hell happened to my screen? I guess I was pressing buttons over there. When
it's all good.
I ain't sophisticated yet with my podcast like some of them folks.
We always learn new things every
Yeah.
day.
So yeah, I mean, you know, see if the fact that they are walking for peace, that's all they're walking for. And the man said, "We walking peace for ourselves, peace for this country, and peace for for other people to have peace." He specifically said, and it was in Monroe, Georgia. I kept saying Monroe. Monroe is where the politician got all up, and they asked people not to walk with him, but she turned it into a political event for herself. So it's Monroe, Georgia, where they was standing on the hillside protesting. The thing is, these people, they not bothering anybody. The man said, we're not trying to convert nobody. We just walking. Now, if you listen to that video where the pastor was confronting him, he was like, oh, but you are converting people. You're giving them your little beads and all these sorts of things. One, I find it hypocritical as hell because Christians try to give you tracts, or you got some guy, he's making a decent killing now selling these little miniature Jesuses to people. It's okay for you to go out and try to convince people to become Christian, but people who ain't even trying to convince somebody, you got a problem with them being front and center in the news right now.
All right. So let me just speak just specifically on this for this video. Now, for this video, I would say the way how he was speaking was not the right way to speak.
You're talking about the black guy who was talking to the
the black guy who was talking. That's not like he was saying like belittle the things in that nature, and that's not okay. But preaching to someone inherently is not wrong. Even if if somebody's doing a protest, or if somebody's standing outside of a convenience store, you can preach to them, but if they don't care after a while, then you just walk away. That's on you, because from our faith as Christians, we are supposed to spread the word of God.
Okay, but according to this Bible, when a person doesn't want to hear it, you're supposed to just walk away and leave them alone.
I mean, what verse says that?
So not so much a verse that comes off the top of my head right now, but you remember when Jesus cast out the demons out of the legion, right?
Right.
And then the demons went to the pigs ran off the mountain. When the people saw this, I think this was in Capernaum. When the people saw this, they asked Jesus to leave. And Jesus was like, they don't want to hear what I got to say. And so they left. He left. He told his people, let's go. And right after that, he goes to Nazareth, and the people don't want to hear his preaching in Nazareth. So he's like, the prophet can never go home. And so he left. Anytime people didn't want to hear it, he didn't force it on them. He didn't keep going at him. He walked. He kept going. And even when he says, and so one part that is more definitive of it is in Luke 10, when he sends out the 70 or 72, depending upon the version of the Bible you have. He tells them, if the people welcome you into their homes or welcome you into the city or to their business, go in. But if they don't, just go out to the streets. So if the people aren't welcoming you based on who you are and what your message is, then leave them alone. Is the overall message that you can see in the Bible. It's just been cultural and doctrinal that people have been persistent and forceful. But that's not in the book. There's no force.
So, like, you view like Christians preaching as like a forceful way?
If you are preaching and the people don't want to hear it, yes. That's one way of force. Like if you are, so personally, there are certain parts of town that I would avoid because I know there's always a street preacher over there. And so like if the restaurants over there in on that street, I don't want to, and especially here in San Antonio, this is sit outside city. I like sitting outside. But I'm not going to be at this restaurant. I got to hear this guy across the street constantly preaching. Like, shut the hell up. I don't want to hear all that while I'm trying to enjoy an evening. You go over by the Alamo, 9 times out of 10. I don't like the Alamo personally, but 9 times out of 10. Actually, I like it, but not for the reason most of these Texans like it. But I don't want to hear street preaching if I'm going over there. You see, or you know what I mean? So I do see that as you forcing your religion on people, because we can't really stop you from doing it. But I think it's rude. I think it's wrong. I don't agree with it being done.
Because like I can agree with your example of like with like how the Christian conducted himself with the Buddhist.
Mm-hmm.
It was inappropriate. But saying like when you're using your example of like with people that are like street preachers that are not directly like talking to people, but they are talking to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, they're not trying to just like go on specifics. It's just they're saying their piece. And like I was saying before, it is our obligation to do preaching. But at the same time, I wouldn't think that it's forceful to just, if you're expressing what like God has like said, and you're just giving out different verses like that, you know, God, you feel that God has said that we should be giving to the people, then I don't really see anything wrong with people expressing their value. Just like if like a protest, they're out and they have some discrepancy of what whatever happened. Maybe like we'll say Walmart franchise, like they have a real issue with Walmart, and they're just all sitting out protesting and like in front of that organization. They are not mad at like people, but they are mad at like Walmart as a whole, you know, because of whatever they were doing and such.
No, okay.
So it's like,
and I'm with you, and it's a slippery slope. That's why I would never, if I was like a mayor of a city, I would never enact a law that says that you can't do street preaching, because you got to be fair. One, you want freedom of speech, right? And you can't stop it on public property. So now private property, that's up to those people to do it. But I know that if you did that, now you're stopping, you know, the even though I would not want to hear the Hebrew Israelites either, you know, but you're gonna be able to shut down people's freedom of speech, and that's the only reason why I wouldn't do it if I was in charge of the government. I would, my personal thing would want to, but I know how that would affect freedom of speech. So unfortunately, I wouldn't do it. Now, I would. Damn, that's a slippery slope too. Like I wanted to say something about the fact that how, you know, how, I don't know if you've experienced it. Well, you probably haven't, but I wanted to say something about how when you're, you know, they do single people out, especially the Hebrew Israelites. They will try to single people out. But Christians do it too. They'll see somebody, a couple walking or people walking, and they'll, hey, brother, you, or, you know.
well,
but that's a slippery slope again.
Politics aside, for a moment, I can say that like just us being Black people, we get singled out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just regularly, like with that different scenarios, like you can present different situations that can alter the argument, but at the same time, it can come right back to the argument, because with freedom of speech, anybody can express how they want to be, no matter how cruel or no matter how good it is. You know, but if you're doing something to like harm somebody, that's when we step in.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to come up with a spin there for a second, but I don't think it'll work. But you know, freedom of speech is only free unless it doesn't cause harm to people, like you said, and that's true. Like as soon as you're saying something that causes harm, so I don't know. You telling me I'm going to hell, you cause me mental harm, but I don't think that'll float. That wouldn't float.
Because it's still not like I can tell you, yes, you're gonna go to hell tomorrow. But is that actually doing something?
Nah, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. I was trying to wiggle it in somehow, but that's not gonna work.
You know what I'm saying? You know, like you can have like you can feel bad like afterward, like you feel like you got attacked from it, but at the same time, it's not. It doesn't really impinge what's gonna happen to you the next day.
I got a dude on Facebook saying he's like he can make it work. He'll figure out a way. But now I would, even though sidewalks are public property, I would make it illegal. I would make it where you got to be a certain distance away from a business, though. That even though it's public property, I would do that. Like you would have to get the business permission to do that, because, and this comes from, and I know I have a little bit of personal part of this because, you know, I owned retail businesses. I don't give a damn if it is public sidewalk. If you were standing in front of my company preaching, and this has happened before, either you move or I'm gonna move you, because in one of my locations, I had some J Dubs trying to post up with their little sign and their little board. And I told them either you move or I'm gonna move you. Because what you're not gonna do is every customer that comes in and out, you trying to hand them one of your little booklets. You know, and I told them I don't give a damn if this is a public sidewalk. What we gonna fight, and then I'm gonna go to jail, but I got employees, so I ain't gonna lose no money other than bailing myself out. And if you come back again, we're gonna fight again. But you're gonna be in pain. I threatened them, no doubt. Because to me, they were threatening my business.
Now let's talk about what this is. Now you're saying that like if people are when they were gathering in front of your store, that you acted in a violent manner because they were selling, like they probably were selling like different, well, not selling, but just giving away different pamphlets, different books.
I didn't
like telling people things.
Yeah, I told them to move. I told them to leave. And then I threatened them with violence.
You said in a public setting. So you're saying just like how it is to like while you're in a public setting, you can be reported at any moment. Yes or no?
Reported like what, for violence?
No, not reported. I said recorded.
Oh, recorded, yes.
Yes. Like you can be reported at any moment.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't matter like what you have to say about like different things. Like don't record me or doing stuff like that. Well, it doesn't really matter what is free. Is like the price that you can report on different things. You might see that it looks different and weird, but at the same time, it's in your own personal feelings. It's not what is like actual and just like when they're talking about everybody having the free will to do different things.
Right.
You know, we have different laws in place so that we can have a equal, like when it comes into the public, you have like an equal opportunity to like defend yourself or like fight or whatever you wish for in a manner that's conducive and conductive. Sometimes it can't, like sometimes we get crash outs where, where you got eight and runs, you got fresh and fit, you got different people, that has presented like a different light to people and they got reprehended because of different things that they have done.
Okay. So I'm trying to understand how being recorded in public, how does that fit with the fact that I would ban you from speaking on a public sidewalk if it's in front of a business?
I think I can't say the other two, the podcast, because it says consuming features and this live could cause harm. So
oh yeah, I get that all the time because I smoke on TikTok. TikTok always putting that little message up there.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I'm just like, what? I can't say certain words.
No, because I'm smoking a cigar, TikTok always put that little warning message up. But they used to cancel my TikToks. They used to like cancel my lives all the time and put me on punishment.
Oh yeah, that was before Donald Trump came presidency.
No, that was even after he was president. That's why I wasn't doing TikTok lives for.
It stopped after he became president.
I mean, eventually, yes, but I ain't going back. Look, I'm an independent, but we're not going back into that part of politics. So the thing is, I would outlaw preaching on the sidewalk, even though it's public, if you're in front of somebody's business. You shouldn't be able to interfere with the growth or development of another business simply because it's on public sidewalk for preaching purposes. If you're doing something that has no direct connection with that business, no.
Is them preaching like deterring the customers from your establishment?
Yeah. When those Jehovah's Witnesses was trying to post up outside of one of my popcorn and ice cream shops, it was deterring customers because people don't want to be bothered.
I said, you said Jehovah Witness. Nah.
Yeah.
Listen, my brother. Even I be looking at the Jehovah Witnesses like, come on, bro. Like, get the heck out.
Most Christians don't like Jehovah Witness, but
like, they're like kind of the subset. Like, they have their own specifics to it. Like, they don't believe in the Trinity. There's different aspects why we don't agree with
I mean,
them.
they're a different denomination of Christianity, but even Christians, most Christians don't like J-Dubs and don't want to be bothered by them. So no, I wouldn't let anybody. I've had people, and when I first opened up that business, I still was going to Christian churches. I was married to a Christian at the time. And they were upset because I wouldn't let them put any of their paraphernalia or flyers and shit up in my business. Because my business was about selling popcorn and ice cream. It was not about religion or politics or anything of that nature. So even protesting a business, you would have to be a certain distance from the business. Because you don't have a right to disrupt somebody's business or to make customers feel like they can't go inside of a place through threat of how your protesting is going on. But I certainly, I would do that in a heartbeat. And I ain't gonna lie, I target the shit out of them Hebrew Israelites. And I think that's one of the worst things in recent times religiously that's going on. Well, with black people. Well, let me finish that sentence with young black men.
Interesting. So the same that we're kind of like far apart with the age guy. You can say that I can be considered, the young men, right?
Yeah. You like 34 is what you said, right?
I'm 31.
31? Yeah. You in the young man crew.
Yeah. So I could say, like a little bit on the topic, no?
Yeah.
Okay. So being from my, like, as we've been discussing so far, how do you think you view me as a Christian?
Actually, I view you as a Christian that I could get along with, that I could hang out with. You're not one of those you don't seem to be one of those who are just, who can't think outside of the box of the Christianity. Like, we could get along, we can talk about other subject matters, and even if we don't agree with one another, there's no point of anger or judgment of character to say that, oh, well, you know what, you don't seem like you kick somebody to the curb simply because they don't agree with you. So yeah, you be all right.
Cool. I'm glad that's what because that's what, like, how I like to present to people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm on to the center of, I am a Christian, but I'm not gonna like push it down your throat. But maybe once in a while, I may be like, if I see somebody down or different stuff like that, I may preach to them just to give them like more energy, more uplifting. You know what I'm saying? It's different scenarios in which I would conduct myself in a matter like that. But I do understand, but if somebody is coming directly for, like, talking about, like, my Christianity and stuff, that's when, like, I can go ahead and I can be combative sometimes. I'm not going to lie, I'm cute.
Yeah, I mean, we're debating, that's fine.
Like, yeah, like, we can have different stuff, but if you're, like, openly saying stuff like, since I'm a Christian, I contribute to being a rapist or different stuff like that. That's when you start to lose me. And that's where it's like it's personal directionness to the Christianity as a whole, because Christian in itself It's not a person. It's like it's the book. It's the philosophy. When you talk about the word is encompassing of God.
Most people who believe in Christianity don't really know the book itself well enough, as well as they should. And yeah, if I'm having a conversation with somebody, and they want to talk, I usually avoid religious conversation with people. So the people who are Christians, who are one of my best friends who is Christian, we just don't talk about it. He may make a joke every now and then and be like, yeah, because you're a heathen. And, you know, and I'll tell him, say, yeah, because you brainwashed. And that's about as far as it goes. Right. But we don't have in-depth conversations about it. We have our brotherly love based on all the other attributes of our personalities that we have come to be brothers. Now, there are people who are they have the possibility of developing a friendship with me who are Christian. And in one of our conversations, we start going over, and this is why they have the possibility of becoming friends. The conversation went religious. I let them know that I'm not Christian. They spouted out some things that were historically incorrect about the Bible. I corrected it. They questioned my correction. We went through the process. They saw that I was right. And then we went on just talking about other man shit and just had a note, and the conversation just kept going. And we exchanged numbers and everything. So we had a moment of confrontation, but there was no anger. And then the judgment at the end was, even though we disagreed on this, I still like this dude. Now, part of it might be because the four of us at that table, I think the youngest person was 40, 44, 40, 46, 47. It might have been a thing of maturity. I don't know. But
I view that as,
what's that?
it's just men just being the real men that we is. Like, a real man is a person that goes ahead and just, when you're having a discussion with somebody, we can come to the agreement that we have opposing views, but that's not going to infringe our relationship with one another.
Right.
As men. You know, that's just how as true men, that's how we are supposed to conduct ourselves. Because we know that, in an instant, both of us can be very destructive.
Yeah.
In our manner. So, it's coming to the realization of how we can put aside our our under instinct and come to a true understanding without putting our emotions into it.
And that's real men, real women. That's what they do. I ain't gonna lie. I've had some death threats. I've had a death threat that was so poignant that I did take it to the police and give them a recording, of the death threat. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can be mature like that. And there are people who they don't want to be my friend, or they don't want to, even though they know me as a person, they but because of that, I can't deal with you. And that's cool. Right. But you got a lot of people who are that way though. They if you don't believe, regardless of every other thing about you, if you don't have that same religious connotation, they're gonna drop you. And J-Dubs, SDA, Hebrew Israelites, Catholics, they serious about that. Pentecostals, they serious about that thing. But I do enjoy the fact that there are Christians that I can have relationships with that go beyond the difference of our religious thought process. processes. And I'm only respectful to a point, but I'm respectful of just what is true. So if a Jehovah's Witness, and I'm using them as a primary example, even though I have seen this behavior in the Baptist churches that I grew up in Georgia. If a person accuses the pastor or deacon or somebody of sexual assault, now Jehovah's Witness goes the length of saying there has to be 3 witnesses or at least 2 other witnesses to it. Otherwise, it didn't happen, which that does promote that bullshit to happen. Because, you know, if you put yourself in the criminal mindset, if I know that there's no other witnesses other than this little girl, then she's going to lose. The church is going to cover for me. And I've seen, even though they didn't specifically say the witness part, the Baptist churches that I dealt with, they use the don't speak out against a man of God or don't speak ill of a man of God. So they utilize that type of line of bullshit to try to keep it in-house. Kind of like when families got that one uncle or that one auntie that they warn the kids about being around or try to keep the kids away from them instead of just getting rid of the damn uncle or auntie, telling them that bastard to go on somewhere. So, and we can put that on individual people, but they utilize the Bible to back it up. And I do think it's messed up that a woman has to have witnesses in order for her claim to be validated. And that's bullshit because you've given men a loophole.
We do have our different aunties and uncles that they definitely you warn them about for like different plethora of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I can say the drinking example. I can say the very harsh uncle. I can say like that one grandma that gives a stern and strictness. You know, I can go down a list with that. You know, because it can go ahead and go into different scenarios. It just depends.
It can, but you know, I don't know if you have any people that you come in contact with, but and I know damn near every Gen Xer, damn near every Gen Xer I know grew up with that one uncle that they always kept the girls away from. But that uncle was still there at the freaking barbecues, the family reunions, the Memorial Day, you know, events and all that shit. And like, I remember around 12 years old thinking, and I don't really give a damn by saying the name. I even remember sitting there and saying to my grandmother and a couple of my aunties and my mom and my grandfather, why, if the girls can't be around Uncle Bobby, why the hell is Uncle Bobby here? I didn't say why the hell, because that would have got me an ass whooping, but you know what I'm saying. I was like, why is Uncle Bobby here? Shouldn't
why is he here if you know if everybody is viewing him in a bad light?
Mm-hmm.
Why is he here?
Exactly.
And then they usually say like, "Oh, well, his family."
That bullshit. That right there.
Yeah, I know.
But they do that in the churches too. So this bastard, when I was still a Christian, I was a deacon at the church. But Reverend Lockhart gonna let my daughters stand in between his legs after service one day. And I saw that shit. And yeah, I cussed him out and threatened his life right there in church, in the pulpit, calling him a motherfucker and telling everybody else in that church, I'll burn all you motherfuckers to hell if you get with all this support of this man talking about something. oh, you can't speak ill against the pastor. He just the pastor trying to show the girls love. I was like, y'all motherfuckers lost y'all mind. And y'all know this motherfucker used to be thought of as a rapist before he turned to Christianity. And I cussed everybody out in that church, mother-in-law included. But they try to defend him with the Bible. Well, he a pastor. And you can't speak against the pastor. I was like, you motherfuckers crazy as hell. Y'all done lost y'all mind.
So you were, let me like kind of understand this story. So you were like a deacon?
Yeah.
You disagreed with the pastor and you knew about his past.
Yeah, and I disagree with him letting my daughters stand between his legs.
Yes. So I'm just gonna say, for the forefront, I don't think somebody who used to be an ex-rapist should be a pastor. But yeah, like it's it's that thing where it's like with the pastor, you don't really need it that much to become a pastor.
You know what? This is the first time I think this might be the first time I ever said this. I like you, dude. Even though we have talked way longer than I normally talk to one individual, that statement right there just told me a hell of a lot more about you than anything else that you have said. Because most Christians would have went to the defense of God could have changed his heart. God could have took that spirit out of him, you know, all that stuff. But the fact that you said that a suspected rapist should never be a pastor, you just got a hell of a lot more respect out of me, brother. And I ain't never called another person brother on here like that. But that deserves hella respect as far as I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, because like I'm just an individual that I speak in a logical sense. I don't always just fall into just like different other stuff. I think with my mind as well as my spirit. You know, I'm not a person that's gonna just be like, if I'm saying if we're trying to make a better change for Christianity, I'm not going to like get passes for people that are like doing stuff like that. Like, why would he be in such a high position if he was like just a regular Christian that was just in the church trying to find repentance? I would say nothing against it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if he's conducting himself in the same manner he was before, that's when we would act.
Exactly. And that's exactly how I felt at that moment when I turned my head and I saw my daughters up there, and I was like, I was stunned for like a split second that this known, you know, even though he was never convicted, but, you know, close-knit communities back then. His family is one of the prominent families in the town. You know, his uncle is a pastor over in a different church, and, you know, that kind of situation. And these motherfuckers are just covering for him and utilizing the Bible to do so. And yeah, I was pissed. And so now you're right. One of the things that I've said on a lot of videos and on live before is that if you are a person who has some type of issue, and any religion, if you can't find it within yourself, but if any religion keeps you from murdering, killing, stealing, I know killing and murder, but you know what I mean, murdering, stealing, essaying people, if any religion keeps you from doing it, go be with that religion. I know a lot of people like me, a lot of atheists will say we want to get rid of all religion. Honestly, I can't join that group because I know that there are people out there who need religion to actually be a good person. Yeah. So, although as much as now, Don't particularly care for this religion. I don't think this is the one, but I certainly recognize that some people need some type of religion.
They need structure into the individual. Like what religion provides is what the lack of themselves.
Yeah, which so I'm gonna bring it back to our actual conversation, which brings it back to the fact that if these monks are walking for peace, no one who professes Christianity in the modern times and the modern doctrines of Christianity should have a problem with it, should protest it, should stand in their way, should have signs against it. No Christian should have a problem with it based on modern Christian doctrine. And I do separate modern Christian doctrine because Christianity has changed based on the culture of any given time frame. You will find differences in the doctrines of Christianity, and they're all using the same book, but they all interpreted it to fit the culture that they're living in. So, but in our modern day versions of Christianity, no one should be protesting these monks. That is like hypocritical as hell. And especially if you're Black.
Like, there's a way to do it. And then on top of that, it's like one thing I will point out from the video is that he didn't really stop their path. They could have walked around, but in Buddhist obligations, they are required to stop and speak with him. So it's like they do understand that they can walk around the person in a logical sense, but their religious obligations puts them to stop and talk with it. Just like in the same breath as like for me, like I consider like when people are having like a conversation with me, like I am a type of person that like I have to hear everything that you're saying and then appropriate in response, even if you're just rambling on for like a long time. I'm going to sit there and listen. Maybe like every once in a while, like I get tired if you're talking for like 6 or 8 minutes. I'm gonna interrupt you and be like, "Listen, you gotta have some decorum here. Like you can't just talk all forever, you know." Like I gotta have, we gotta have some regular dialogue. Unless am I just letting you just talk into the distant void or something? But no, when you're conversating with somebody, you got like for me, I say there's like a 2-minute rule. You know, like a person can like speak and talk whatever they wish for like 2 minutes or so. And then that's when we can come back and we can talk about it, because sometimes when people are rambling on, they kind of tend to like keep adding different things they want to ask. And it's like, let's address one thing at a time so that we can get to like a more conducive conversation.
That's why I put on my rules.
Like when you're talking.
That's why I put on my rules. The host can interrupt, but the guest cannot, because people will get on these long ass tangents. Yeah.
They'll just be going on for days, and I'll just be like, "Listen, I get it. I get your point."
And you said 2 minutes, bro. Do you know how long 2 minutes of
that's just me? That's me being legal.
Do you know how long 2 minutes of talking is?
2 minutes of talking can be tedious, but it's not really that long. If you really think about it. If somebody said like maybe 5 minutes now, that it's just like if you're talking for like a minute, like you can't get everything done in a minute. I can agree with that. You can do it, but I give people to it, just like the rule of like the 3 strikes rule. You know, sometimes like some people have 3 strikes, some people have 2 strikes. You know, like it depends on like how they feel in that moment. Like you might say something heinous and you'd be like, oh wait, hold up. I just gotta get you off immediately, bro. Like I don't know what you're talking about. Or there'll be like a light offense. Maybe he'll say something that like be like hold up. I get it. I get what you're saying, but you can't be doing all this. So you gotta change your ways, or then we can have a conducive conversation, or you gotta get dropped and go. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. And you know, from after I had said something and everything that you had just said right then, that was roughly about 53 seconds. And you see how much shit you said in 53 seconds?
Yeah, so
Now, think about 2 minutes. It's a long ass time. And I didn't realize it until I started teaching. And that was when I was teaching IT. How long 2 minutes? How long 2 minutes is? How long that is? That's a long ass time. And then when I started doing podcasts and making videos, that's when I really realized how long that time is. And like you said, people will start going off on 11 different tangents, and they'll talk about 5 different things. And it's like, no, we got to handle it. Can we go point? We can even go point for point, not all this, you know, you monologue like an evil villain. And then we don't. Then we got to backtrack all that.
I'll be like, dang, like, come on,
Yeah.
They be throwing in you know, the 1 minute is for mainly like them just getting all the insults out.
Yeah.
You know, then the next minute is maybe they'll come back to just start trying to be like, oh, do you know what this word means?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you know how this impacts me? Do you know, like, bro, what? It's okay. Just come to the realization, but that's how conversations can be conducted. And I'm not disacknowledging that you said that 2 minutes was not fast.
Mm-hmm.
It is a long time. I just say it like that because, like I said, like I say, what I have is it can be a gift and a curse at sometimes. You know, because it's like I have to hear people like their full like statement, and then I come back to it. But if like I said, if they're talking way too long, I just be like, all right, I gotta interrupt you. Like, I'm sorry. We can have a conversation, but you gotta just bring back to her. Just like how I can just wrap this right back into what we were talking about with the whole like the stopping and talking like matter. Because when you're stopping and talking to somebody, it's not wrong to stop and talk to somebody, but it is your obligation to sit there and come back to talking to somebody. Like, you can say like somebody could be like, yeah, rambling on, but do you have to listen to him? Like a homeless man on the street that's begging for money. Do you have to acknowledge him?
You know what? I can't stand you. Because that's how I was going to wrap what you were saying right back into it. That's mostly what I was going to say to wrap. I'm like, this joke is stealing the damn words out of my mouth. Because the thing about it, that dude who stopped them, I don't know if he knows that they have to give him some attention. That even though it's, like you said earlier, logical to just walk away or just keep on going, because it wasn't like they couldn't walk around him. But because of their religious conviction, they had to stop. And, you know, for a little while, they had to listen to what he has to say. Right. And there are other videos where the monk was talking, and the one that I hated the most, because it's a reference to my own hometown. The monk was talking while they was walking, even though they asked people not to walk with him. But the Clayton County commissioner decided that she was going to make it a political, something political for herself. She decides to walk right with him, and then she interrupts him. And in their tradition, when someone interrupts, you stop talking. You let them have their moment. Because it's part of, I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think it stems from their meditation practice, that, you know, when a thought comes into the mind, you just let that thought live, and then you just let it go, and you go back to whatever you was trying to focus on. So when the woman interrupted him, you can, even though he's been practicing Buddhism for a while, you can tell he was irritated. But she just straight interrupted and just kept talking. We just out here in Clayton County. I'm Commissioner such and such, and we walking with the monks for peace. You know, she just made it political. But he was visibly irritated. Right. So this guy who stopped him, same thing.
He's a human at the end of the day, like as all Buddhists, all Buddhists are. Like they understand they ain't even supposed to be indulging in no earthly desires either.
Yeah.
Pleasures. So it's like they understand that they take an oath when they go into the religion. So they can't like deter from their actual conversation. So that's why when it comes to the realism of like, are they functioning in a way that's logical, or are they functioning just what they believe?
You talking about the monks or the Christians?
The monks.
Well, they're functioning based on the way they believe.
Right.
Because if I was walking with them, if I was leading the troops, we'd have walked around that dude. Because I'm like, dude, I'm not here for you.
You ain't like that because you have more freedom. You have more freedom than what they have.
Yeah, I wouldn't make it as a Buddhist monk. Like, man, get the hell out of my way.
You'll be just sitting up there every day, like, hey, listen. Like, then you have to you gotta take a good while not eating.
And see, that's another thing about this walk they're doing. And which I think, so let me say this. I do think that is the overwhelming majority of support that these monks have received probably has been from Christians. I don't know if these people are Christians. We don't know, because I see some of the people who are giving them items. They are displaying Buddhist behavior. But I would definitely say when it was going through Georgia, and especially Atlanta, the overwhelming majority of people that was giving them food and water, and one dude was giving them little heating pads and stuff that you put in your gloves and in your shoes.
Yeah.
I would say that the overwhelming majority of those people are probably Christian. Right? And because the monks can't ask for nothing. Like, you have to offer. That's the only way they can accept. So they taking this walk. People have to offer them food in order for them to have food for the walk. Otherwise, they won't eat. So I respect the fact that they're doing that, but I also respect the fact that a natural person's heart is to help out or give to people who are doing something that connects. And that's why I don't understand. Well, that's why it irritates me when I see the Christians who are protesting this. You know, but more Christians are in support of it than are not. So I'm all about being straight up. Go ahead.
For this story from this scenario that you talked about, so can you admit for a second that you're under the assumption that most of the people that were giving them food and water and different stuff was Christians, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when indulging into that scenario of like it having people giving him them different stuff, does it truly outweigh when somebody is stopping them and preaching to them?
Oh, okay. So in my mind, it doesn't. It does outweigh when people are being negative towards them. In my mind, but you know how the human shared mind works is that it focuses on the negative and promotes the negative to make the negative bigger than it really is. You know what I mean? So like,
right, that's
like on my relationship channel.
That's like
I did a video on my relationship channel. This woman was talking about some, the black men are losing all the black women, the good black women to white men. And I'm like, no, 82% of black men are with black women. Shut the hell up. Like, she don't know what she's talking about. The facts are that black men are with black women more so than with white women. So she's just speaking from the few negatives, the few that she sees, and making that the larger number. So, and we do that.
Right.
People have a tendency to do that. We, one black man steals something all black people steal.
Yeah, they put it into a broader sense
Mm-hmm.
than what it actually is. Like let's use Diddy as an example. So,
Free Diddy.
with it, yeah. So like we have people who they want Diddy to be free. And we have the other people that we seen all the different stuff that they had, and they like all the different, like for me, like it was enough for me to see when they was like when they were talking about the whole scenario with the one woman, and he was like they said that he was basically just sitting down watching while she was doing her business. What like with the other man as he saw fit.
Okay, you're gonna have to be more explanatory. Because I honestly don't know a lot about this whole Diddy situation, as I probably should. So when you're saying this woman, what was she doing? I don't care about words on here, man. I say what I want to say.
She was sitting there. Well, she was pleasuring the other man while Diddy was watching.
Oh, okay. He got in trouble for that?
Because he was like, in her words, saying that he was like kind of like making her go through all of these different like parties and events and stuff like that. Just like with like how
that's bullshit.
As like the specifics of these parties, like you had to have like different requirements to get into the party.
Okay. Like what?
You had to take a shot, like a specific shot before you walked in. So it would get you nice and loose. Maybe it was, I don't know what they had specific with it, but how the people were describing it sounded like ecstasy to me.
Okay, so they had the opportunity to say no.
They had the opportunity to say no, but then they wouldn't be allowed into the party if they didn't.
That ain't Diddy fault to me.
Yeah, like I mean, then there's the whole things about how like with like idols like Justin Bieber and
thank you for all the gifts. Sorry.
Like
but
like they had I think Tyler Perry was in there.
Okay, but if he
had Kim Kardashian,
I can understand peer pressure, but at the end of the day, I'm not putting anybody in jail for peer pressure. Now they put him in jail, from my understanding, over some bullshit about trafficking women for sex over state lines. If that's the case, and he been doing that for a long ass time. So the fact that they just brought this shit up.
What I would describe it, like he was making them pleasure with other men for his entertainment.
Okay, but then half of America should be going to jail for that. Then for taking women across state lines for sex. How many dudes have flown a woman in for that? What was it? Them booty calls. You see what I'm saying? That like dudes been flying women. I met you online. You live in Chicago, girl. I'm gonna fly you down here to San Antonio. You know why you coming? We've been talking. I bought you a ticket. You know what's going down. You know what I'm saying? That's a common thing. That's the only reason why I say it's a bunch of bullshit.
Then there's the famous baby oil scenarios.
Ain't nothing wrong, baby oil. Baby oil good. Slip and slide. Slip and slide.
Well, they were talking exclusively about how he would with when he's with men. So he acts differently with men than with women.
Okay, is that illegal?
But men is the ones he I feel like he truly liked more.
But it's not illegal, right?
No, it's not illegal to do stuff like that. But at the same time, it's just how he conducted himself.
What? Hey, man.
This whole Epstein files situation.
Yeah, that's real shit.
Started to unravel because they brought as soon as they brought Diddy in, and then that's when they just started to unravel different other cases and scenarios of the people that were actually Diddy's boss. There was people over him that were actually promoting the whole thing, and he was kind of the seer of it all. He oversaw it, and then other people were the ones that were truly funding all of his avenue, his revenues, and they partake in it too. That's what I've been hearing from it.
Mm. I might have to actually spend time and watch that damn video series that's talking about it, because I really wasn't paying attention to it, because I was just like, okay, they're getting him on the Mann Act, which is bullshit, because people have been doing that forever, and it's a bullshit law that was based on racism in the first place. So it shouldn't even be a law. The Mann Act. And then as far as the baby oil and people making choices to give in to peer pressure, I'm not going to put somebody in jail for that, unless they were minors. If they were minors, okay. If you forcibly, and see, it's peer pressure. There is a line between peer pressure and forcing someone to do something. All right. So, I don't think the man should be in jail based on the limited information that I do have. And it is very limited. Because I just don't pay attention to entertainers mainly, is why. Right. But
yeah, a lot of people got unraveling with this news. A lot of people was partaking in his parties as far as celebrity wise.
Like TD Jakes.
TD Jakes, there was Beyonce that was up in there. There was Jay-Z. It was
getting swallowed up.
They said, I think they said Donald Trump was in there. I don't know.
I wouldn't doubt it if there was a time frame that he was in there. I mean, if you look at his history, he used to hang out with the rappers a lot. So back in the day, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this whole Diddy thing, this Venezuela thing, is to try to distract people from the Epstein files. Wouldn't be surprised if none of that. Misdirection has been used by governments for as long as we've had governments, right? So
without a doubt, I know they think from all the people who've been listen, we had the old saying about presidents, it's choosing your poison.
Yeah. Hold on, let me correct this dude. Let me correct somebody real quick. I saw this with somebody else posting earlier, saying that Buddhists worship all kinds of gods except the true God. Just shows me that you don't know one thing about Buddhism, because in Buddhism, there is no God. You don't worship any gods in Buddhism. You may be thinking about Hinduism. Buddhism does come out of Hinduism, but Buddhism, there is no God. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Hinduism, they have the three deities that they think is the creator God. And when the Buddhism is their ultimate goal is to get to Nirvana.
Yeah. And
they believe in a reincarnation after they get to one such.
Yeah, and there's no God involved. There's no supreme deity.
They literally go off of the teachings of one man that he prayed on a rock, and until he one day and got the enlightenment that he sought for, which was the Nirvana.
Yeah, I hate when people that one of the most damaging things I've seen. Yeah, I see one damaging thing that I've seen that, and I got to say it, Christians have done is that they try to determine what another person's religious beliefs are. Hinduism was monotheistic until the Dutch and the British showed up. All things were of Brahma, and then out of Brahma, all these other deities are just aspects of Brahma. So true Hinduism is monotheism. Buddhism comes out of Hinduism before it got corrupted by the Dutch and the British. So even in Buddhism, it wouldn't have been polytheistic, it would have been monotheistic, but Buddhism stripped away even the belief in a God, period. And there's more of a unifying energy. Sort of.
I can say without a doubt, there's a reason why Buddhism is on the top 5 religions.
Buddhism is on the what?
The top 5 religions.
Why you say that?
Mainly because it's like it's a lot of people they resonate with it more because like I believe people they believe in this they believe in spirituality, like without a doubt. But they since they Buddhism, it just provides for it's more enlightenment with through peace in oneself.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's you're evaluating yourself you're once you go in that you become the very essence of the universe to come back to it.
Right. And there is no hell. Hell is actually the fact that you got to keep coming back to this earth until you figure it out. That's their only concept that you can kind of gin up to be hell.
They don't really have that true concept of what they don't even believe in what hell is.
Hell is just keep coming back.
Just believe it.
Go ahead.
Like I said, they believe there's just a higher energy. And once you get to that higher energy, you're dispersed back.
Yeah. And even when you go through samsara, you realize that all demons are self-created. So even though when Siddhartha sat under that Bodhi tree, and he says that the demon, I forgot the name of the demon that supposedly approached him, he had to realize that he realized in his thought process that even that demon that came against him was of his own creation. So that there are no demons. There's other than the ones inside you. And that is attractive. That has become more and more attractive to people. And maybe I would say that that's part of the fear that has caused some people to protest them. But I doubt if the people who are protesting even know that.
Yeah, they don't realize that. Just speaking off of that example alone, with this is why I believe that in my belief, I believe each religion they do have we do have a consensus of what's going on with the world. Just talking about Buddhism alone, when you're saying a self-reflection is a demon. If we're going back to Christianity, with hell, the reason why demons are around is because we become the demons as we go to hell. In a Christian sense.
I ain't never heard a Christian say that. You're the first Christian I ever heard say that.
I'm looking at it as when they arrived in the lake of fire, as God casted off the angels from heaven. Once those were just regular angels. they became demons because they were brought down to hell.
Right. But how are the people those demons as, or how are the demons and the people one and the same? Wouldn't it be
Because
from my understanding from the Bible,
the
it's
demons are made. Oh, I'm sorry.
well, the Bible keeps them separate, but they both are supposed to have the same fate in the book of Revelations of being cast into the lake of fire, but they are still separate entities. Humans who don't accept Jesus, they go to the lake of fire. The angels who fight against Jesus in the Battle of Armageddon, they get cast into the fire as well. So this is two different groups.
Overall, when we're evaluating and just talking in latest terms, the people who believe in God and follow his teachings are the ones that goes to heaven. The ones who does not follow his laws and his teachings and does other things, they go down to the lake of fire. Which, if you're looking at the story I was saying before about the angels falling, they became the demons as they went to hell. They became archangels, whatever you want to call them. But they can't, as soon as they touch into hell, that's when they become the demon. That then is their soul.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
To get more demons to go into their flock.
Okay, I see what you're saying. That they're still angels until they hit the lake of fire. But now I'm going to test the calmness of conversation, because this is where I would normally go with that one, with that statement that you made.
Yeah.
So these angels who are going to fight against Jesus are only in the book of Revelation, and the book of Revelation, based on Christian doctrine, hasn't happened yet. There is absolutely nowhere in the canonized Bible that speaks of a fall of this war in heaven. So there are no fallen angels right now, according to the Bible.
No, there isn't. Yeah.
So wait a minute, you're saying there isn't?
No, there isn't any fallen angels right now. No. All of them were already casted out.
Cast out where?
To the lake of fire. The ones that were the defectives were already cast out.
But where do you get that from?
You get that from the word of God.
Like, okay, so let's go through the process here. The book of Genesis is the first place where you have angels came down and had sex with the daughters of men, and then the Nephilim was on the planet, and then all the Nephilim and everybody who supposedly died in the Noah's flood. The angels that came down and had sex with the daughters of men, the Bible doesn't specify what happened to them at all. It doesn't say that they are the fallen angels, because there's only Genesis doesn't give a number of angels that came down and had sex with them. It doesn't tell us where they went. Then when we get to the book of Job, you have this God and all his B'nai Elohim up there in heaven with him. The Satan is also up in heaven with him as well, so the Satan is the adversary, but he's still in heaven in the book of Job. So the angels, Christian doctrine says that those angels try to make those angels who have sex with the daughters of men as the fallen angels, and they try to make the Satan devil. But it is not until around 2nd century BCE through like 1st, 2nd century CE that we get this separation of God and the devil. But prior to that, the Bible doesn't speak in those terms.
Right, because the New Testament is more detailed of the Old Testament.
But there's so there's still not anywhere where there's a fall. the fall is in your canonized Bible. Now I say canonized because the only place where you find a fall is in the book of Enoch. Enoch is the one who talks about a war in heaven. Now, the book of Enoch is quoted in books like Jude, and Paul quotes him. So it was definitely read and believed to be scripture in 1st century and 2nd century CE. Now, the book of Enoch wasn't written until around the 2nd century, 3rd century BCE, and undoubtedly shows Persian and Greek influences within its writings, because they had wars in heaven and so on and so forth. So the whole concept that Christians have today of a war in heaven comes from a book that's not part of your canon and is taught by early Christians who still believe in a book that's not part of your canon. So why would you, do you see the problem with that?
The worst part.
The problem with Christians still believing that there was a war in heaven and that these fallen angels and the devil are the powers and principalities of the air, and they're tempting people and all these sorts of things, when you don't accept where that information actually stems from.
I mean, my information comes from like the different stories. You can say it was like the book of Enoch and different other things like that. It's supposed to be from the word of God alone.
Okay, but you have to find it in there, because it's not, that's what I'm saying. It's not in your Bible. The canonized Bible,
the word of God is Jesus.
But
Jesus is God.
Well, I don't agree with Jesus is God, of course, and nor that the word of the Bible is the word of any God. But just utilizing the Bible itself, what I see is that Jesus, being a 1st century, let's say Jesus, I don't think he existed, but so to be clear, but if Jesus existed, then Jesus was preaching a message based on the doctrine of Judaism at the time in 1st century. But prior to, I'm going to say, the Babylonian captivity, Judaism didn't teach of a God and a devil. Judaism didn't teach of fallen angels or a war in heaven. Those teachings came into Judaism a couple of hundred years before Jesus was born. So he would have grown up in a culture of Judaism that now teaches differently than what it originally taught. And when I was a Christian, I had problems with that, because it means that Jesus didn't know that he was teaching something that had been culturally added to their doctrine from a group that didn't even worship the same God. You understand what I'm saying?
I see where you're coming around to. That you're like, now we're talking about like where he specifically came up, like when, like what was being taught around his time. And you can say comparison that, like, just like somebody who was born in Rome, they were a Roman.
Yep.
Right. So I get where the wraparound is coming, but at the same time, I do then beg the question of why did his own people condemn him?
Well, there are multiple reasons why his own people condemned him. One, he was teaching a message that was usurping the authority of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Two, he was claiming to be greater than Abraham, as far as the book of John is concerned. In the book of John, he also has him claiming to be God. So, yeah, they would want to kill, they would kill a person back then for doing things like that. The only thing that has changed is like people like John Smith would have been killed if he was in the 1st century claiming that he found some secret gold plates talking about a new version of Judaism. They would have killed him. The only thing that saved John Smith is that he lived in an America that didn't kill people for that.
Right, but it's not God that is demanding of killing at the end of the day.
Oh, yes, he does. Doesn't he say kill the witches?
Does he demand?
Does it? Huh? The God of the Bible instructs people to kill the witches. It instructs you to kill false
What
prophets.
scripture? Wait, what scripture is that with witches? Unlikely.
Hold on, I gotta look it up again. It's Old Testament. And actually, they follow through on this. Back in the day, they used to follow through on this. Exodus 22:18 is what pops up first. And let me actually go to it.
Exodus 2:18 contains a verse addressing witchcraft. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
Yeah, 22:18.
Not allow sorcerers to live. That's a new version. This verse, along with Leviticus, forbids practices like senile divinity or sorcery. Seeking power outside of God.
Okay, there we go.
So, avoiding false guidance rather than physical harm. So, like that specific one that you were saying, it just says, the thou shalt not suffer a witch to live.
Yeah, kill them. It says whoever has intercourse with an animal should be put to death. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord alone shall be devoted to destruction. I mean, and above that one is one that I argue with people constantly, and I'm not going to talk about it today because that's for tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm talking about why women shouldn't follow Christianity, or that Christianity treats women as property. Actually, is what I'm talking about tomorrow.
Yeah, this new international version I don't like.
Oh no, the RSV updated edition is going to be the most accurate. Right now is our most accurate translation of the Hebrew and the Greek.
I know that's what they say since it's the newest edition, but for me and my purposes, I don't like it.
What is RSV?
Yeah, I don't like the RIV.
No. I'm saying the RSV.
NIV.
I wouldn't use the NIV. NIV is a English version. Yeah, it's a more Americanized English version to support the King James. It's based on the King James, which King James is a poor translation. So that's why I use the New Revised Standard Updated Edition.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is,
I don't like it is because it's like they just like this example what we've been on right now. It's like, do not allow sorcerers to live is from the New International Version.
right? But even the RSV says the same thing, that sorcerers, you shall not permit a female sorcerer to live. Whoever has intercourse with an animal shall be put to death. So God does give commands to kill people. And that's just one time. It's a whole bunch of other things, but that's just a general law. He also tells if a woman is not a virgin when she is married, then she should be killed, brought to her father's front door, and the men of the town shall come and stone her to death if she's not a virgin when she's married.
Like in the Leviticus, it says, "Do not turn to mediums or seek out spiritualists, for you will be defiled by them. I am your Lord."
Okay. So, do you retract your statement of God doesn't command to kill people?
Yeah, I can retract that.
Yeah, he does. Okay. Boy, you getting more and more respect points.
So he can say that with different sorcerers and stuff like that. But I can see somewhat why he would want to.
Okay, so let me ask you: do you think it's okay to kill a woman, if she's not a virgin? What's the justification for that?
Killing a woman that's not a virgin.
Yeah, when she's married, yeah.
Or what specifically did God say about killing a virgin?
Well, so let me make sure I got it right. Deuteronomy 22 is where you're going to find it. I know you're going to ask me, so.
If you see your fellow Israelite ox or sheep straying, do not ignore it, but be sure to take it back to its owner.
Oh, it's down in like 20.
20?
Yeah. Well, start a little. Let me see. Does it start earlier than that? Actually, it starts. No, that's just one of the blanks. Okay, so it really starts in 13. The punishment is down in 20 and 21. But it goes, suppose a man marries a woman, but after going into her, dislikes her. And so going into her means having sex with her. And makes up charges against her, slandering her by saying, I married this woman, but when I lay with her, I did not find evidence of her virginity. The father of the young woman and her mother shall submit the evidence of a woman's virginity to the elders of the city at the gate. So the evidence of the virginity of a woman is that when a woman has sex for the first time on a marriage day, they put a cloth up under the woman. If she doesn't bleed, then she is considered not to be a virgin. Then they say that she wasn't a virgin. So this is the accusation that the young man in this scenario is making. So that's the evidence that the mother and father have to bring. Now it goes on to say, the father of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. And now he has made up charges against her, saying, I did not find the evidence of your daughter's virginity, but here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. Then they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the town. The elders of the town shall take the man and punish him. They shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, which they shall give to the young woman's father, because he has slandered a virgin of Israel. She shall remain his wife. He shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives. Then it says, if, however, this charge is true, that evidence of the young woman's virginity was not found, then they shall bring the young woman out to the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her town shall stone her to death, because she has committed a disgraceful act in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. So you shall purge this evil from your midst. So basically, if a young woman is not a virgin when she's married, she is to be stoned to death. And they base this on the fact that women bleed the first time they have sex. But we know that only about 46% of women actually bleed the first time they have sex. So there's more than just the problem of stoning someone to death here for not being a virgin. But it's also the issue of, and I'm going to just say this plainly, does God not know biology?
So, to going back to your first original claim about this.
Mm-hmm.
So you said originally, like God said that killing virgins, right?
Well, killing a
Which
woman for not
depends,
being a virgin.
right?
Huh?
Yeah, because what you described to me now was somebody getting stoned because they weren't a virgin.
Yeah, and that's what I asked. Is it justified? What's the God justification for killing a woman because she wasn't a virgin when she got married? I mean, would you justify? How would you justify that today?
About killing somebody because when they got married, and then the husband found out that she was not a virgin.
Mm-hmm. That is a death sentence.
Huh?
Yeah, that's a death sentence.
Stoning, yeah, it could be.
Oh, stoning is the death sentence. That's so
take a while to get stoned to death.
It does. That's a very painful way to die. So how is that? Let me ask you, if you were God, would you give a woman a death sentence for not being a virgin when she's married?
No, if I was a God, I think I would. It would be a death sentence only if it was unfaithfulness.
Wait, whoa. You think adultery deserved death?
I mean, if I was God. Okay.
You know, in the Bible, adultery is a death sentence. So you think people should die for committing adultery?
No way, if I was God. Well, I'm not.
So you think God is justified?
God is justified in his own actions. I mean, he has a reason for everything that he does.
Yeah, nah. You see, that's one of the reasons why I can't accept this God, the God of the Bible, as a true God. You would kill somebody for adultery, but you don't kill people for slavery. You don't kill a man for essaying a woman. Instead, you make the woman have to marry that man.
That's the first one. Did the Pharaoh and his army, were they still alive or were they dead?
I think the army. I think they were swallowed by the. According to the story, they were swallowed by the water.
Right.
But he didn't kill the Israelites for taking slaves.
Huh?
So then, why didn't the Israelites get killed for taking slaves?
Well, in the Israelite sense, they didn't get killed because I don't really remember too much of their story to talk more on it.
Well, it's just in the Levitical laws, in Leviticus 25, when you get down to verse 44, it says, of the foreigners who live amongst you and the foreigners around you, you may take them, you may buy them as slaves and own them as property forever. Own them as property and pass them down to your as property as generations. He tells Joshua in the book of Joshua, he tells them that if you cannot genocide the people who are living in the promised lands, then you are to make them your slaves. But then tells them that of the neighboring countries, you are to make them your slaves as well. So the only slavery that the God of the Bible has an issue with is Israelites being slaves. And it's just Israelites being slaves. And most of the time, it's just Israelite men being slaves. Israelite women can be slaves.
in the book of Leviticus, I don't believe. Like I hear arguments about Leviticus, but for me, I don't feel like it was God, like it was truly God's doing of slavery.
No, it was, because when the part that goes into slavery, no, it's not a prophecy. In the part before you get that whole little line of talking, like Moses goes through a bunch of stuff. So I think you literally have to start in like Leviticus 20. Like Leviticus 23 or something like that, where Moses said, and the Lord God, and it's all caps Lord, has commanded, and then he goes through this whole speech. Part of that speech is the slaves.
Commanding the release of the people. Like that was when he was like commanding Jesus to go free the people. Right? No,
not in Leviticus. Jesus not in Leviticus. This is Old Testament. This is Moses.
Yeah, Moses when he was talking to God.
Yeah, and God was constantly giving Moses these rules and laws to command the people. And the slavery laws were commanded by God.
No, like that's not what Moses was talking about.
What do you mean? Moses came down from the mountain and said, the Lord God has commanded.
Commanded that was the release of the people. When you're talking about when they were talking about the slaves and whatnot, that was not Moses talking.
In Leviticus is all Moses talking. That ain't nothing but Moses.
He was talking about what was going on, but that was not him talking about it for the people.
No, I don't understand how you're getting that, because it literally says that Lord commanded. Moses goes through all this stuff, and part of what he goes through is slavery and how where they're supposed to get their slaves from. Moses is just repeating what this God has told him. That's the whole concept of Leviticus. The laws that are in Leviticus and Deuteronomy and Numbers is this God saying what these laws are supposed to be.
Right, I understand how people come to that conclusion. See, this is a part where I know for a fact we're on two different islands with this one, but the only another way maybe I can say it is he didn't have full vocals over what was being done in the society. He was just being the observer and documenting what he's seen.
Who is observing and documenting what he sees?
Moses.
No. In the Levitical laws is not him documenting what he's seeing. He's the God of the Bible, the God of Moses is giving him instructions on how the Israelites are to live as a society. This is not him seeing what's going on. These are just the laws that God is giving to them. So this ain't Moses just talking.
Okay.
Yeah, when you go
on this matter, I would say we're kind of at odds.
We're going, and many Christians have issues with this one because even though they don't like especially Black Christians, we want to say that the transatlantic slave trade was not done, is outside of the Bible. But the transatlantic slave trade was conducted exactly how the Bible says to conduct slavery.
So why did you invoke blackness?
Because that's where most of the biggest argument that I've seen to defend slavery in the Bible has come from Black Christians who want to defend slavery, who are in opposition to the transatlantic slave trade because it was conducted by Christians, and they want to separate the God that they believe in from that transatlantic slave trade so that they can condemn the transatlantic slave trade.
Is that an objective or a subjective statement?
It's subjective, but it's subjective based on the evidence of the outcry of Black pastors and whatnot. Now, you also will find this with white people as well. White people who are against slavery and are against the transatlantic slave trade, but they were Christians and they are Christians. They seek the same remedy as well, that the God of the Bible never condoned slavery, and especially the type of slavery that the transatlantic slave trade. So you'll have them saying the same thing. And then, of course, they'll jump on that the abolitionists were Christians as well. Now, that doesn't negate what the Bible says about slave trade and how slavery is supposed to be done, and that the transatlantic slave trade was done that way. So the part of it that's subjective is what I say about their reasoning for it. Now, the transatlantic slave trade being conducted exactly how the Bible expresses it, that part is objective because the Bible says it and they followed it. So I don't know their feelings, but I definitely know what the Bible says about slavery, and that nowhere in the Bible does it talks about getting rid of slavery. Old Testament, New Testament, extra biblical books that are written outside the Bible, none of them get rid of slavery.
Is it so? Slavery is happening today with Christians.
You said slavery happening today by Christians?
Yeah.
I don't know. Might be. Probably not in America as much, but might be. You know what? Sex slavery is happening by Christians and Muslims and atheists and Hindus. So sex slavery is happening, and I know that for a fact. Now, I can say this, the people that I know of who were conducting sex slavery, they were Christians and Muslims. And that's because of the work that I did when I was in Germany.
So you kind of attach, or from what you said, with some scenarios where you, like, I've been hearing you say, like, a lot of, like, maybe it can be a Christian, a Muslim, or a Buddhist, or different stuff like that. But this is truly based on only what you perceive of people, right? And your own presumptions.
I'm not exactly sure what you're saying right there. So let me express it differently. Let me express it maybe in a way that is clear. Based on my own experience of your question of slavery happening today, the only slavery that I've witnessed was conducted by Christians and Muslims. I don't know if other people are conducting any type of slavery today, other than there's still slavery going on in places like Libya. And of course, that is a Muslim country. But as far as the sex slave trade, that is happening definitely with Christians and Muslims, to my eyewitness and to my research. And here, the thing about it is the Bible condones both sex slave trade as well as the slave trade of the Americas, the transatlantic slave trade. And that is just based on, this is what the Bible says. And then you look at how the slave trade was conducted, and it was conducted how the Bible says to conduct it.
Interesting.
Because the Europeans, when they enslaved like the Irish and the Scottish, they went into indentured servitude. So Leviticus like 34 talks about Israelite to Israelite, it's indentured servitude. There's 7 years to the year of Jubilee, and then you release them of their debt. In the late 1400s, early 1500s, that's how slavery changed for Europeans towards other Europeans. In Leviticus 44, it begins to talk about how of the slaves that you will own as property and that you will pass down to generations as property, that is for foreigners. So that's foreigners, not of your tribe. So the Europeans, when they came to Africa, based on Nicholas V papal bull, they enslaved the foreigners and made them permanent slaves for life as property. So that's exactly how they were supposed to be treated. In Exodus 20, it says that for your slaves, your foreign slaves, you can beat them as long as they don't die within a day or two, because so that's the law that you're not supposed to beat them to death. If you look at the only place I've seen it is in Louisiana Code of Law. You can't beat or maim a slave, your African slaves. So they followed the Bible in how they conduct, in how their slavery was conducted. Now, did they follow every letter of the Bible with the few rights that slaves have? Probably not in practice, but even in ancient times, they probably didn't follow it in practice the same way either. I'm sure that there were some Hebrew slaves who maimed and killed a slave through beating the hell out of them and was never punished.
Hey, redirect this logic thinking for a second with going in a different direction with it. So can we agree that back in the day, slavery was not a bad thing?
We cannot agree on that. Slavery was a terrible thing.
Well, I mean, just to the eyes of the beholder, what I'm saying about that is that multiple societies conducted themselves in slavery type of things, you know?
Yeah, multiple societies did.
It was normalized way more than it is today, right?
Of course, yes, we can agree to that.
Well,
but I don't. But even then, I think it was a bad thing even back then.
But they didn't think about it like that.
No, and neither did America until the late 1800s.
Right, because of the way how they used it about what's what we can talk about, like when they put black people under slavery and they used the Bible to basically try to subjugate us, right?
Yeah, but so we can even look at during the Roman Empire time frame after 481, when Roman Empire became Christian, they enslaved the Germanic tribes as property because they saw them as foreigners. They enslaved the British Isle tribes because they saw them as property as well, but they saw them as a different tribe. So they didn't. So they went into slavery as well, as property for life. So the thing is, At no time, there is not one time frame that I will ever agree that slavery is good. Even if the civilization has normalized it, that still doesn't make it good.
All right, because we have our logical capacities of nowadays on like how we conduct it. I understand that. But if you're looking from way back when, they didn't really view it like that.
Okay, so that just makes slavery subjective. I mean, that just makes the morality of slavery subjective, which all moralities are subjective.
I mean, not all of them.
No, all morality is subjective. There is no objective morality. There is not one society nor one rule of morality that is seen as being the moral standard. We just have a tendency to agree on certain things or should not happen. But most of the time we agree on those things based on our culture.
I have to now actually vacate now because I gotta go over and do my due diligence.
No, actually, I appreciate you.
I gotta get into my commitments.
I appreciate. I don't.
Sure.
You set a record. You in the Coach Rand's Guinness Book of World Records. I have never talked to any one caller this long. And pretty much the whole damn show, because in 9 minutes I'm gonna be done anyway. So it is almost as if
I try to have long dialogues. It's just that people they get too irate too fast.
Yeah.
They just
Well, and
but I'm gonna hit you with a follow, and
yeah,
we can probably have another debate one of these other days.
Yeah, and normally I would have had other people trying to pop up to get on, but nobody was trying to pop up and get on. So I was like, well, we're gonna keep talking then.
Yeah, they were just listening to us at that point.
Yeah, it's almost like this was an interview show. Like I called you on purpose. Like today we're going to be interviewing Notorious Brutus.
They're very glad that we had some great dialogue.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to have another discussion with you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I look forward to having more discussion with you as well. I go live Tuesday. Most of the time I go live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. I don't know where you are, so I base everything on Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, we in the same region. We'll get it.
Oh no, I'm in Central.
Oh, you in Central?
Yeah, it's just easier for people to base things on Eastern because all our television and whatnot is based on Eastern Standard Time. So.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, I'm in the Eastern Hemisphere, so I definitely know.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
That's the weed talking.
Wonderful.
All right, man. I appreciate you. Later. Man, say I'm in the Eastern Hemisphere. In the Western Hemisphere. I don't know if somebody did pop up. I'm sorry, I didn't even see this one. Let me see if he did, because he's been waiting a long ass time. El Guru.
You know what? I forgot that you only do 1v1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, I wanted to get in on the action, but I see how you're doing. You like to interview one-on-one.
Yeah.
You know what? I get it. It's a lot more intimate when you do 1v1.
Well, and it's more controllable because when I first started, I would let 3-4 people be up, and it's just chaos. People talking over each other the whole damn time, and I got patience, but I ain't got that much patience.
Man. So what's your assessment with the last caller?
Oh, well, right off the whip, without deeply thinking about it, well, I do think that he's honest. willing to look at information and actually think about it. It's still going to have some hard-coded things like when we talked about slavery, that's more hard-coded into him, but, was willing to retract other statements. So that shows a degree of maturity and honesty, intellectual honesty. So I do appreciate that. And he didn't get all emotional. So he's somebody I could talk to.
Right. I will say that he didn't respond to stimuli. I know he was reading my comments, but I realized that he wasn't really responding to stimuli, which is good in a way. But what I will say is that he needs, if he can open himself up just a tad bit more to the information that's out there. I know that listen, everyone has their confirmation biases and sort of a certain level of cognitive dissonance to a certain degree. But you have to be able to realize that no one has all the answers. And
Right.
B, any book that tells you it has all the answers, be very aware. And I think that he realized perhaps there in the end that any book that tells you it has all the answers of your life from A to Z is,
No, I agree.
So, and I also wanted to say, Malcolm, you guys touched on slavery and touched on certain things. Malcolm and Martin, they needed the oppressor's mythology in order to reach the masses, because without it, kind of like Brother Marcus Garvey, he really didn't want to lean on Islam. He really didn't want to lean on Christianity. He wanted to do it independently without these entities. Because let me just ask you this, my dear brother, because you seem like you're very intellectually inclined. How is it that Pope Gregory the Eighth or the Seventh was able to change, right, from us using the Julian calendar to then using his calendar to then and making the entire globe to get on the same page? How do you think that they accomplished that? The Vatican?
Well, we have to. And I thought it was Pope Gregory the Fifth who did that.
It's either the 7th.
It's a Gregory. That's why we call it the Gregorian calendar.
I'm not sure.
Right. I just like to know exactly one.
But I'm sorry, I don't have my gear in front of me. Yeah.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
No, you was it's Pope Gregory the Ninth. I mean, no, sorry, Pope Gregory the Eighth. You was right, Pope Gregory the Eighth. Yeah. Right. So, so Pope Gregory's calendar is just a slight change to the Julian calendar. So really it's the Julian calendar that we utilize. Gregory just added the leap year in there. I mean, that's his real claim to fame to his calendar, is adding a leap year. But to go to the larger question that you're asking is, how do we get the like 2/3 of the world utilizing that same calendar? Because it's not the whole world, but 2/3 of the world.
Yeah, two-thirds, right? Because I don't know if you're aware. I don't know if you're aware of this, but in Ethiopia they have a different.
Right.
Based on Jesus, they go by it.
Right. Ethiopia, China, Israel, they all have their own calendar.
They all have their own calendar.
Right.
Yes.
So, and China represents 1/3 of the population on the planet. So,
Least.
Yeah.
The very least.
But it's through violence, conquest, and then economic pressure. That is to use that calendar, because that became the calendar of the European countries, and they went out in their so-called age of discovery and took over the Indian culture, took over most of Africa. Well, took over most of the African culture, took over the American cultures. They instituted
the Pacific Islanders,
yeah,
the Filipinos.
They took over everybody's culture and forced them into following Western rules and Western culture. So, but it was through violence and conquest. And then for the other countries, like China uses its own calendar when they're just dealing with themselves. But when they deal with Western cultures, they then utilize the calendar, the Gregorian calendar. So it's through economic pressure is the final way that they did it.
Yeah. So as you may know, all of the months and the days of the week are all named after Norse and Roman gods.
Yeah.
As you know. So I think that people don't realize how entrenched and how engulfed we are in European sort of mythology in this country and just worldwide. Within the last 500 years, for example, my parents come out of Haiti, right? And in Haiti, they don't teach you that Christopher Columbus discovered America. Now, they will say that Christopher Columbus was the first European or one of the first Europeans to come there. But Europeans had come to the Americas and they didn't colonize. I'll give you an example. The Vikings. There's history that the Vikings came to the Americas, and as we know, the Vikings were very good navigators of the seas. And so these people were very, very amicable, and despite their violent history and past, they were very amicable to these other tribes and people that they met. So I don't buy it for 1 minute. If people don't know about the doctrine of discovery and the Papables, the Dumfriverses, the Romanus Pontifex, if they haven't read any of these literatures, then I don't blame them. That's why most of these people are Christians. Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on the Ethiopian Coptic Christians? How do you feel about those brothers?
They ain't nothing but pseudo-Roman Christians. They're pseudo-Roman Christians. The people like to jump on that one because they say that they have more books in their Bible and so on and so forth, but they fail to realize that the Egyptian Coptic Church is the ones who sent Frumentius back to convert King Ezana into Christianity in 330 CE. So, but because they weren't part of the Roman Empire, he gave them all the books. He gave them Enoch and all these other Jubilees and all these other books that they then had in their Bible. But it's still a Bible and a version of Christianity that stems out of what becomes the Roman Catholic Church, because Frumentius was under Bishop Athanasius, and Athanasius was the one who kept suggesting these should be the books of the Bible after the Council of Nicaea. But because the Ethiopians weren't conquered by the Romans, but just became, trading partners with them, they were able to maintain all these other books that the Catholic Church gets rid of. But it's still a Roman version of Christianity.
Now, do you know that they celebrate Frumentius because in Ethiopia, as a symbol of paying homage to him? Because without Frumentius, really, you have no way to influence Ezana into, being influenced, and being coached.
Yeah. Now, I won't say you have no way, because Ezana was looking to find a way to buddy up to the Romans during that time frame. Because Ezana, the only reason he converted to Christianity was because he wanted to better trade relations between
financial.
It was all financial gain and kingdom protection. Beyond that, Ezana didn't have some spiritual awakening. He was just like, what's good for my kingdom.
Exactly.
And
like most politicians, right?
Yeah,
like most politicians,
pretty much. Right. I would imagine if I was King Ezana during that time frame, I would have been looking for a way, looking at how the world was at that time frame. How can I keep the Romans from trying to attack us again, and we can just be good friends? And if I was looking at the reading, if I'm reading the room, I'm looking at Constantine he just had this council where he's empowering this new religion. So let me get on board with that, since that's what Constantine is kind of like, setting up.
Well, yeah, by this time he had set up the Nicene Creed.
Yeah,
Which puts a lot of people, right,
Mhm.
which puts a lot of people under the umbrella that Jesus was the sanctity and the kind of like the veracity of Jesus was determined there.
Yeah, and
whether he was a half man, half amazing.
yeah, and then you see that, Zana he would have known that the treasury of Rome was open for Constantine's mother Helena, who was Christian, to go and build all these churches and all these sorts of things. So I would have been like, you know what? We need to buddy up with Rome. The best way to do it, become Christian.
Yep.
And but it still took a while for Ethiopia to become mostly Christian. Izana didn't see that part happening. It took about 80 years for them to become mostly Christian, because people were still practicing their ancestral religions.
Their ancestral religions, right? Yes.
And that only lasted until around the 500s, 600s, when the Arab conquest started, and then that's why half the country now is Muslim.
That's why half the country is Muslim.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on the conflict between the Christian and the Muslims in Nigeria currently? Have you looked into that?
Yeah, I think it's stupid. So what most people don't realize, I don't think, is that the northwestern area is controlled by Muslims. The central area is kind of a mixture. The southeastern area is controlled by Christians. The overwhelming government is controlled by Christians. But the majority of people who are in conflict with each other is not the Muslims against the Christians. They are actually they are actually harassing and killing more Sunni Muslims than they are Christians, because they want to force Sharia law first. Now, if they can get that kind of control, they probably will start trying to conquer the rest of the country. But I think it's something for them to fight, for them to have their own fight over. I don't think America or any other country should be involved. We just want that oil.
Do you think that the U.S. has gotten involved because there's oil? Nigeria is the biggest producer of oil.
Most certainly.
African continent.
That is the only reason America is involved.
Because of the oil.
Yeah, this fight been going on for a long ass time, for decades.
Right.
America is only involved because of the oil. That's it. Yeah. If if they didn't have oil, America wouldn't give two shits about it. Right.
Yeah,
because
I concur.
Why aren't we involved in some of these other countries where they have these issues? America, you brought up Ethiopia, right? I don't remember how long ago it was, maybe about 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, when the Muslims in Ethiopia, they slaughtered like 80 Ethiopian Christians because they were having, a conflict between the Muslims and the Christians. America didn't say shit, because Ethiopia ain't got that oil. They ain't got no precious minerals or nothing like that. They don't have what we need, what we want, that makes money. So they'll probably figure out a way to try to go into Congo next. Well, they're trying to get Cuba. They're trying to get Cuba and Colombia and Greenland next, but they'll try to figure out a way to get into Congo, because you can get Congo. They got more precious minerals than damn near anything.
Well, the only I heard from someone that most of our cell phones only work because of the stuff that comes out of there.
Yeah, it is. It does. You can control the cell phone market if you can control Congo. But the problem is that Congo is a Christian, is like overwhelming majority is Christian.
Yeah.
And that's because Leopold killed about 10 to 15 million people in that country and forced them into Christianity.
It's more like in the upwards of 20 million.
Yeah, the number goes up
Only because it was King Leopold the first, the second, and the third.
Yeah, the number keeps going up. You know, it's hard to get the actual data from that time frame.
Yeah, because the thing is that Leopold had human zoos in Belgium.
Yep.
They didn't close them down until like 1915 or 1920s.
Yeah, they would.
But even the Bronx Zoo had here in New York City. The Bronx Zoo even had an African man on display as part of the human zoo situation.
Didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that part.
Yeah, the Bronx Zoo.
Yeah. But I am 100% sure that the only reason we care about Nigeria, this country cares about Nigeria, is because of oil. Yeah. So, and that's.
Do you think that this the current administration has its eye sets? If they don't shape up these people in Nigeria, you think he'll just do a Nicolas Maduro on these people? It seems like he's playing chess.
I don't think he can.
It seems like he's playing chess with. He's trying to take over certain markets, in my opinion. It seems that way. And so, what do you think? You think that what country is next to fall, in your opinion?
That's a good one. Honestly, I think because of who's in there, I think he wants Cuba.
Cuba is the next one.
Yeah, I don't think it's okay. Let me give you 50-50. Cuba and Colombia.
Or next.
Yeah, Cuba and Colombia. Now, he might try Maduro in Nigeria since the president of Nigeria is Muslim. I think that's a harder one to accomplish.
Because of the distance, you mean?
Well, no, the distance is part of it, but the distance is not that big a deal because we got a whole carrier fleet that's always in the Atlantic Ocean. So that wouldn't be a hard, you can do it off of that carrier.
Off of that carrier.
Yeah, that carrier group. Yeah, that carrier group will be able to accomplish it. They got SEAL teams that are on there, so it wouldn't be the Delta Rangers like they did for.
Like they did for Maduro. He used the Delta. I don't know why he used Delta instead of SEALs, but
because Delta Rangers are the baddest motherfuckers on the planet.
Oh, no, I don't take. Oh, come on, bro! I don't take nothing away from those guys.
No, I'm saying the movies have made.
I've seen them I've seen real footage of training.
Yeah, I'm just saying
I believe you. I believe you.
The movies have made the Navy SEALs seem like they're the most elite group. And especially with SEAL Team 6, which is a more elite version of the SEALs. Right. But the Delta Rangers are the baddest motherfuckers on. They the baddest boys that we got. Right. So they just don't publicize themselves like the SEALs did. But no, I mean, SEAL Team 6, though, is great, phenomenal group. Not to cast any shade on them at all. So it could be done. It's just the population density and the density of the cities, that's what makes it more difficult. Is the only reason. It still can be done.
A lot more collateral damage, you mean?
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot more collateral damage, and it's a lot hard. And if it's done inside of like in Lagos or Ibadan, it's a super urban city. Like, I don't know. You sound like you might be from New York somewhere.
Yeah.
But, and although I've never been outside of the airports in New York is not as dense as Lagos. No.
I wouldn't say that. No.
Yeah, it is.
Have you been to Lagos?
Yes, and I was only there to go to the embassy, and I took my ass to the embassy, and I went back. But I'm a grown ass man and I'm an American, and I know people on the grown American men don't ride on the back of motorcycles. But there was no way in hell I was going to sit in that traffic in a car. That traffic was just ridiculous because of all them damn people there.
You chopped out of it?
No, I got on the back of a motorcycle, little motorcycle taxi boy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, you're talking about a population in a city
Yeah.
that's like, what's like 20 to 30 million people
At least.
in this city. And in the downtown area, it's like 15 to 20 million people just in the downtown, because that's the larger metro, is that higher number. But just the downtown area, you're talking about almost 20 million people. That's some serious density, which makes extractions like that more difficult.
Yeah.
You know, what is it? Is it Caracas? Caracas is nowhere near as dense. So it's a harder thing to do. And then you got to get to the airport. Nah, that one's going to be harder. I don't think they'll try that one. I don't think they'll try that one at all. But I do see them, maybe Colombia or Cuba. I think he's posturing on Greenland, because the EU may not have said much about Venezuela, but the EU would lose their shit over if he were to try to take Greenland by force.
Yeah. But I mean, one thing I'm thinking as a chess move as Greenland is maybe the natural resources that Greenland perhaps can possess, being that it's, a block of ice. So I don't know what type of chess move he's playing there with Greenland. The only thing I'm thinking is natural resources,
Yeah, but I think the chess move is, and I hate to even give him the chess move. I think the chess move is a distraction from the Epstein files, personally, because without
a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, because this bullshit that's going on could lead to World War III, man. To be honest, because if I'm China, I'm saying, well, oh shit, if he can do that, then I'm gonna go and take Taiwan. If I'm Russia, I'm just gonna go ahead and take Ukraine, and while I'm taking Ukraine, I might as well take some more stuff. While I'm taking Taiwan, I might as well take some more stuff. So,
in other words, he's setting the tone.
Yeah, the tone becomes empire building again. And empire building doesn't work out for the people.
Not for the little people.
Yeah. It certainly does not. So what are you gonna do? Start attacking all the other North American and Central American and South American countries, except for Argentina? Probably leave them alone. Like, you can't make this the United States of the Americas. That's not gonna work. You're talking about constant war to do that, and we're not living in the time frame where the Europeans got guns and cannons, and the overwhelming majority of the rest of the world don't have it. We're not living where mountains can't be overcome, right? So it's a different conquest.
The only reason why I'm asking is because he's asking these defense contractors, right? But to build quicker. So I'm asking myself, if he's putting pressure on the defense contractors, it's because obviously he's only going to be in power for a certain amount of time. But he wants to put the fire under their ass because he wants to. I don't know. What do you think? You think he's going to pull a Nagasaki or Hiroshima?
I don't think he's that crazy.
You think he has the gall?
I don't think
the power to do it.
He got the power to do it. I don't think he's crazy enough to do that one. I don't think anybody's gonna drop a bomb. Not one of those. Yeah. I don't think anybody's crazy enough to do that shit. I seriously doubt it.
It's been 80 years.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody right now is crazy enough. I don't think he's that crazy. He's crazy, in my opinion. But I don't think he's that crazy. I do think that if he continues on this current pathway, that his presidency will be shortened. Either at some point, there's a tipping point where the people of America will want him gone. Just don't know what that tipping point is, because even in some of the things he's doing, even though he's got a lot of his own fans who are supporting him in the Venezuela, and they're buying up the bullshit reason, there's a point where he's not going to be able to reason his way out of it. Which Greenland may be that point. Cuba, Colombia, he probably still have their support. But if he starts putting boots on the ground and in these jungles and forests, you might see a little Vietnamish come across.
I see.
And we're not putting up with Vietnam. The generations that are living today, the Gen X and millennials and Gen Zers, that type of horror, they're not gonna put up with that. So there's a limit.
So we did 2 trillion in Afghan. We did 2 trillion with no resolution.
Mm-hmm.
We left an enormous amount of equipment and gear out there. And I know, the current administration said, well, you got to ask George Bush because that was a George Bush war. Now, what are your thoughts on the longest war the U.S. has ever encountered? Now, I know it's all said and done, but Taliban has given these people a run for their money in Afghanistan. The reason why is because I know several people on this application, through this application, that are refugees from Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad what's going on there, bro.
Yeah, it is. And,
So do you think that Venezuela could be the next Afghanistan?
Definitely could be. If the so it's the thing about Venezuela is terrain. It's great for jungle warfare. And the military hasn't trained for jungle warfare since the late 80s or late 80s, early 90s. No, when I came in, we were still training for jungle warfare. That's why we was kind of thrown off guard when we went to Saudi Arabia. We had helicopters that wouldn't fly, and we didn't really know how to deal with the desert terrain. Our equipment wasn't built for it. So we did have some struggles in the buildup. So there's no one in the military. Let me not say no one. Well, there's probably not, it's very few people who have dealt with jungle warfare. And that's going to be a hard transition to go into those jungles and those mountains. And mountains in the jungle are very different from mountains in Afghanistan. There's no trees on those mountains in Afghanistan. There are very few trees. When you're dealing with the tree jungle where you can't see more than 5 to 10 feet in front of you, where the shotgun is one of the best damn weapons, and most military people don't know how to use a shotgun militarily, it's a different fight. That's what made Vietnam so damn difficult, is because of the jungle. And we're not ready for that. So the beginnings of that may be all shock and awe and blowing shit up, but once the boots on the ground and you got to take it mile for mile, it's a whole nother fight. So the longer they're able to hold out, the worse it'll be for American troops. So I think it could be.
They need to. You think they need to assassinate the VP?
No, I don't think they need to assassinate the VP. I don't think they were right to take the president. No, that's a violation of international law. Was the guy a good president? No, I'm not supporting him. I'm not supporting the vice president. But that is up to their people to oust him, not anyone else, because you create a slippery slope of losing international sovereignty laws. So what if somebody kidnapped Trump? Can they do that? Are they wrong? Another government could be like, you know what, this Trump dude, he violated international law, so we're going to kidnap his ass and hold him. The only difference is America has a big enough stick to be like, oh, no, the hell, we can go fight you. Venezuela don't have that stick that America has, but they would be just as wrong. And if that's wrong, then what he did was wrong. And that just throws the world, even though I don't like most politicians, we unfortunately need politicians to have some levels of stability. You can't just go around kidnapping people and assassinating people. Remember, it was an assassination of a world leader that started what, World War II? No, World War I. When they assassinated Ferdinand.
Yep. Ferdinand. Yep.
Yeah, you can't. Long as poor people go fight wars, they don't mind the wars being fought. You know, they don't mind. As long as poor people die, they don't mind. As soon as you start killing or kidnapping leaderships, all of a sudden the world is in shambles. So, no.
So do you think that using so do you think that by going this route, he's already violated international sanctions, right? Laws. And so what would be the next step that the UN or, you know, the NATO can, you know, what sort of policy can they implement in regards to this act?
Well, they can't do anything militarily. The UN is pretty weak when it comes to that. But what they could do, if they can get enough countries to do economic sanctions on America, you know, not allow American products to be sold in their countries, that even though that would devastate the American economy for a while. America would have to go back to, you know, where we kind of like built shit for ourselves and bought shit that we build or make. The only problem with that is the
real American way.
Yeah, but we can't. But you wouldn't be able to afford that. Like, people wouldn't be able to afford the products that are made by Americans because of how much Americans are paid, and that would increase the cost of things, which is why shit is produced in other countries. So it would really screw our economy if maybe somewhere around 10 to 15 of the major buyers of American products said we're going to do an economic embargo against you. And that's the only power the UN has. They're not sending troops over here, and they're not blockading shit. Yeah. They don't have that kind of power.
Gotcha. So in other words, we're dealing with a Broad Street bully. In other words,
pretty much. Yeah.
There's nothing unless people like China or Russia, which I doubt Xi Jinping is going to want to start playing chess with this guy, you know, at this point of his career. But I mean, what does he have to gain? You know, he probably has more to lose than to gain.
No, his chess move is to start grabbing up other Asian countries.
Right.
It is.
Taiwan,
yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like Japan's chess move during World War II. Japan wasn't joining in with the Italians and the Germans. Japan just said, "Oh, the world is distracted. I'm finna go take this shit that I want. There's some things I want. Nobody's gonna bother me because they focused over there." So China, if I'm China, I can see China just saying that, "Hey, I'm finna grab up Taiwan, Thailand, Saigon, Cyan, you know, I'm finna grab Vietnam. I'm finna grab up me some countries. Yeah. I'm gonna grab up all these smaller nations. Especially the only one that Singapore might be the only one that catches anybody else's attention, because most financial transactions that happen in that area, Southwest Asia, go through Singapore. So I can see that's his chess move. It is not to try to say, "Oh, America, you're wrong." It's like, no, I'm gonna do the same thing.
I'm finna do the same thing, and y'all right. Y'all can't tell me nothing.
Right. And if I'm Russia, I'm going to say, "Oh, I'm finna get all the countries we lost when we was the Soviet Union," and that's gonna put the European Union looking left and right, don't know which way to go. But they're gonna the European Union would then focus on Russia and what they're doing, and then that would free up America to go and grab some more shit, as long as they don't mess with Greenland.
Right. So who is the sleeping giant behind Greenland?
Who's the sleeping giant?
Yeah, who's the sleeping giant behind Greenland? You're saying that Greenland is the straw that breaks the camel's back, right?
Oh, yeah, because Denmark, Denmark owns Greenland. So, but Denmark is part of the European Union. So if he grabbed up Greenland militarily, then what that would create is the European Union then been having issues with America. And economically, we are, we leaning on them a little bit. So they're still important to our economics.
The British pound is and the European euro is a lot more than the dollar at the moment. If I'm correct.
Yeah, and the pound is more than the dollar, and so is the euro. But one of the major things is that we occupy so many bases throughout Europe that if the European Union said, nope, get the hell out, then that's going to decrease our effectiveness on that side of the planet.
You mean the presence, the U.S. military presence?
Yeah, because of all of a sudden now you don't have bases in England, Spain, France, Germany.
Right.
And we hella in Germany. But all those Italy, you get rid of all those bases, all those ports, you've hurt our military effectiveness on that side of the planet. Now to do anything over there is a long ass ride. And you still need to go through the Med because going down around Africa is a long ass ride. That's like 10.
You think, all right, so Colombia or Cuba? No, it's good to know. It's good to know. I'm going to keep a lookout for that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And trust me, there are a bunch of Americans in Colombia that are like, please don't come to Colombia. We left America for a reason.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of veterans. Like, we left America.
Now, do you think that he would have to assassinate? You think that the current president will go like Maduro, or you think he will go out with a bang?
You mean? Wait a minute. What do you mean? Like Trump?
Like Maduro didn't go out with a bang. Like he allowed himself to get captured. So do you think that the president of Colombia will go out with a bang, or you think he will allow himself to get captured?
I honestly don't know.
Gotcha.
Honestly, don't know.
I think the only reason why I think he didn't go out with a bang is because of it. Maybe his wife told him to. You know,
could be.
That's the only thing I'm thinking. Because other than that, I would not. If I was in Maduro's shoes, I would not want to be captured. So it's kamikaze, or what we doing, or it's kamikaze.
He probably didn't think it would actually happen. Like he probably had word that this is going to happen, and he's probably like, nah, nobody's that crazy to
violate international law.
Yeah,
and all that, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't think it would happen, but now that it's happened, I think and that'll make Colombia and Cuba a little bit more difficult because now they're like, wait a minute,
he might go out with a bang.
We already seen it. We've seen him happen, so I think the needle has moved in that direction where they are going to be more defensive about it. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But man, let me talk to this last person, then I'm getting the hell off her.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
Oh, listen, I appreciate it, man. Listen, please, man, keep doing these lives, man.
Oh, I will.
Appreciate it, my brother.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Oh, all right. I know I said I was getting off 30 minutes ago, but Bible equals mind control.
Yes, Coach. I used to come on as Duran Beckford or Dre Bills on Facebook. Okay. But I finally started my own channel. I've been listening to what you've been saying and telling people they need to stop thinking about it and do it. So I've been trying to reach out to Wes Huff to actually do my first video. What I was trying to do for my first video, because you're one of my favorite YouTube channels, I was trying to get the Wes Huff and you going. But Wes think he a G and shit. He be asking, I'm trying to tell him like 500 for for 2 hours. He talking about a G for 4.
Oh, he not moved to that?
Yeah, I'm like, damn. Like I'm,
Yeah,
I'm. Whew, that's a lot.
yeah. After his representation said that he's booked for 2 years, I was like, oh well, to hell with him then.
Oh, if you speaking more than a G, then I because she told me the same thing, and I was like, yo, I'm talking real money though. I'm talking like I offer him like a G for just something, and then she was interested in what I was saying. But she reached out for a G for 4 for less than 4 hours. Basically, it was like 3 hours, 3.5 or something like that. I'm like, well, that's a good start, but I was trying to get you too. I don't know, we're gonna talk off air for that. But anyway, shout out to the last caller. The last caller said everything that I would have loved to talk to you about politics. I didn't even know you get into that like the way you did.
I try not to.
I was like, wow. He said, yo, shout out whoever the last caller was. Man, I enjoyed just listening to the last caller asking you all those questions. That's stuff I love to talk to you about. So being that he started,
go ahead.
I don't. I'm sorry. You try not to. Well, being he started it, I'm gonna get my little in then. You feel me? All right. I always wanted to ask you, how do you because he started a lot and you answered a lot of stuff that already that I always wanted to ask you on, but this is my biggest one, and this might get you in trouble, so be careful. But I always wanted to know, how do you feel about the Burkina Faso Ibrahim movement? I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it first. And I'm the same person who told you about the gang stalking thing. I don't know if you researched about it, but one of the reasons I feel like I'm being gang stalked is because I have a strong opinion in this. Now I'm aware of Gaddafi, of what he did, and what he was trying to do. And if you realize, Ibrahim Traoré is basically Gaddafi 2.0 without that money. Because if Ibrahim had the money that Gaddafi had, oh boy, it would have been on some stuff. And if you even know and I know you researching, knowing, talking to you, you know what Gaddafi was even offering to what's his name? What's the guy? Nation of Islam, Farrakhan. $1 billion for us, for the African Americans. You feel me? And because of stuff, he was denied, or the president denied him of even receiving that money. So I personally, and I'm a strong, as I listen to you speak, and you are not afraid to voice your opinion. I know you try not to, but I'm listening to you. You remind me of my father, and he raised me on that, to always speak your strong opinion and never fear it. I feel that Ibrahim Traoré is the answer to the revolution. I feel like if we keep him alive, and if we here were supposed to start some kind of financial backing, even I was raised in New York, so gangs was a primitive thing, Crips and Bloods and Latin Kings and so forth. Let's suppose we started off a Burkina Faso gang, where it's just like we about our people and their people. Suppose we were supposed to unite us with them. That's the start and spark of the revolution that they truly fear. And I feel like that's why Trump was doing what he's doing here with immigration, because he has to start to separate the people here because he realized what's happening there. And once what's happening there, once we keep alive what's happening there, that's the real revolution there. And if we were supposed to ever connect us with them, the real revolution begins without stopping.
So I support Toure in everything, in majority of things that he's doing. I ain't gonna say I can't say everything, but the majority of things that he's doing, I'm in support of, and I love the fact. I don't like that they keep trying to assassinate him, but I do like the fact that he keeps on stopping their assassinations of him. Hated that other there was Ivory Coast participated in one of those attempts. Let me mute you for a second. Because you got some background clicky. But so the main reason why I support Toure, because he is making Burkina Faso for the people of Burkina Faso. He's demonstrating how African nations doesn't have to stand on the shoulders of their former colonizers, right? And that's a good thing, because the more and more he demonstrates this, then you're going to see other countries follow the same mentality. You saw the president of Senegal, the president of Ghana, the president of Rwanda start moving in those directions, as well as to separate themselves and be self-determining. So I love that about Toure, and he's just doing it on a more he's not being as nice about it. Now, as far as American Black people connecting to him, now I don't like Gaddafi. Let me tell you right off that. Gaddafi may have some good ideas and whatnot, but Gaddafi was still allowing for the trans-Sahara slave trade in his country. So for all the good of Gaddafi, Gaddafi can kick rocks, as far as I'm concerned. But I do understand the concept that Gaddafi was saying, a monetary system just that's based on all the African countries being united. In that, I just think great idea, wrong person to promote that idea with him. And things were going to have an Islamic spin to it as well. So great idea, wrong person. That's why I think people like President Kagame of Rwanda would be one of the best person to step into those shoes. They are still working on solidifying the East African Federation, which I hope they hurry up and get that done, because that will give them a larger power base to stand up against colonialism. But Burkina Faso is showing that you can do it even on a small level. President of Ghana is building their own gold reserves so that they can stand their money up on a strong, they can build their economy. And Burkina Faso has to start doing that as well. 80% of their economy is based on their gold mining. They need to start maintaining that gold themselves and selling it at market prices. And I know he's moving in, he's either have already moved in that direction or he's moving in that direction. So I support him tremendously. As far as the diaspora, now you can't have a Burkina Faso gang, because then you've dropped it to a street level. You know, we got to keep things at the level of power brokering. So it has to stay higher. Now, should we support it? Yes. But supporting great person, somewhat in the wrong country, because the diaspora has been westernized. A lot of other African countries that are powerful and have the economics and have the people who can make a country, grow. Burkina Faso is a hard one to do it in. It's landlocked. It's still predominantly agricultural, and mining is their biggest product. So great guy, just wrong damn country. If it was Rwanda, if it was Tanzania, Botswana, well, now Botswana wouldn't work either. It's too much desert. But if it was the Gold Coast, and maybe that's the hit, is the whole Gold Coast. Senegal, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Togo, Benin, which Burkina Faso is north of all of that. That would be the major hit. I just wish he was stop making all that noise. Just I wish he was in a different country doing what he's doing. But I do agree that the diaspora, if we were able to get together, and it doesn't mean that we have to fully agree on everything, but really concentrate our efforts on bases of operations here in Americas, as well as, and that base of operation being in support of the growing African countries, that it will start to make a huge change in how world politics are conducted. Because the only thing stronger than the military is money.
I agree. One thing that I noticed is that Mali and I think Nigeria, I know Mali for sure, joined. Just yesterday I was reading on the news, and Mali has chosen to join Burkina Faso, and just because of the coup that happened just the other day. The people revolt, joined up, and then Mali and two other countries or places joined up with him because they see how many times the coup is happening, especially from Western help, and so they decided to join forces, which is one of the pictures I shared on my Facebook. Gaddafi was wearing a shirt before he was assassinated, showing a picture of all of them, kind of them being united.
Okay.
And that's what I see. That's what I'm trying to say, that it's kind of crazy. I remember when Gaddafi was alive, I was speaking to my father about the whole situation, and I was just saying, I was like, damn, what he's doing for everything, he's the key. Like, I know they're gonna take him out. And I remember, if you look on YouTube, it's in English now, you could see his last speech in the UN, and what he was saying to his people. It was so heartfelt what he was saying that I feel like Ibrahim must have heard that speech himself, and is basically picking up from where Gaddafi would have left off, but without that money. Because Gaddafi was doing tremendous things with the money, with his city. He was saying free education, free college. If you went off and you was from Liberia, he was going to give you $2,000 if you got married. Like, he was doing a lot of stuff, and that's why I even say he even offered us $1 billion, $1 billion but he was offering it to Louis Farrakhan for us to even get situated, because he even realized, that's what I'm trying to say, he realized that we could do things here, but you need us here also. And that's what I'm saying, that we know, they know. They even look at what he did. He banned the passports from the US. I don't blame him, because if you stop us from coming in, that means us that's trying to take you over from the coup. The hell, you know what I'm saying? I agree with that. But I'm saying, so he's right. But I'm saying because of what he's doing and everything, we now need to really, really start doing stuff here, because Trump realized what he's doing there. That's why Trump is trying to go to Nigeria talking about, we saving Christians. I don't give a damn about no Christians. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to go over there he know what's up. So he gonna work his way from there and then work his way down to Burkina Faso. And we know what's up. The world see what's up now. The world is speaking about what's before everything could happen, and the world wouldn't say nothing. But the US is so known for being bullies now that everybody is speaking up against it. And so now I'm saying that the world is kind of with us. We here need to make a stance and unite for real and be about something for real.
But the problem with your scenario though is them giving money to Louis Farrakhan is not going to move the needle. Louis Farrakhan had his Million Man March, so it created this idea that he would be able to lead Black people in America. He can't. He's
No,
not
not
gonna do it. So because it's religious based, you would have to either have a combination of a major Christian player and a major Islamic player in America, and even now a major non-religious player would have to come together in order to move the needle in America and make it a non-religious situation. And Libya just wasn't going to work by doing that. Now, I didn't know about this merger, but you have made one of my prophecies seem like it came true now, because I was saying years ago that if the East African Federation is formed, you're going to see other African countries come together and form alliances as well, and possibly reform into one nation, So, and at the end of the day, Sub-Saharan Africa will be broken up into about 4 or 5 major groups instead of the individual countries. So I find it interesting that Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso has joined together in this. And if they can get the rest of, I don't know if you're looking at the map that I put up here, if they start getting that whole African West Coast to join in with Benin, Togo, Ghana, the Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, you're going to, then that would see, that's the kind of, those are the countries that would need to join in with what they've done thus far, because in those countries, especially Ghana and the Ivory Coast, that is what would get the attention of the diaspora, because those are places that the diaspora is saying, I would go live, or I don't mind building in.
correct.
No one
I agree.
trying to go to Mali and Niger and Burkina Faso right now.
They say Kenya and Nigeria is into effects of also joining. And I think the main thing would be Kenya. If Kenya joins, that would be a big attraction.
It would be an attraction. It would be, but not as big as Ghana and Ivory Coast. And a lot of Black people don't realize Togo and Benin would be an amazing place to go live or to build industry in. And of course, you want to get Senegal and Guinea and the Gambia. You want to get that whole region to follow suit. It'll help support also their military efforts. Right now, they are small military forces. All of them are. But it'll help.
Right.
If this East Africa, right now, Egypt is the largest military in Africa. If the East African Federation, once the East African Federation is solidified, that will then become the largest military in Africa. But also, it would have a huge economic power, especially with Tanzania and its port to the Indian Ocean. So that's,
and they're booting out all the Western people. They booting out France. They booted out a lot of China. They booting out. They're reclaiming. They're finally reclaiming their stuff and producing it back to their stuff.
Yeah. So, and that's like Senegal. They said that we're gonna hold our own reserves. Ghana is starting to hold their own reserves. So more and more of these countries start telling France, give us our reserve, our gold reserve back, or this. All right. To hell with y'all, we're just gonna rebuild our own. Then they'll become in a stronger financial position to actually build, and then they got to build their infrastructure. And that's where the diaspora can come in, because the other governments coming in and building their infrastructure, they're gonna want too much. Now, we'll give China credit. China, although they've given out a bunch of loans to African countries, they have not any of the loans that's defaulted. Well, any of the loans that's not being paid back, China has not come and defaulted on any of those loans.
Right.
Nor have to ask for government controls. They just trying to make money off of the infrastructure development that's going on in Africa.
Right.
So I ain't mad at China like some people are, because they're buying into American propaganda.
I just think that's the main reason why Trump is doing what he's doing here now with the immigration stuff and everything, because he realized the unity that's happening there. So he's trying to disrupt stuff that's happening here. You know what I'm saying? Let's start a civil war here. Let's do something here because there's too much unity that's happening there. And then while we're causing disruption here, let's go and try to take over. You see what he did to Venezuela. And then like the last caller said, I found it interesting. Colombia called them out. I don't know if you saw that. Colombia called them out and said, pick on me. I don't know if that was a wise, you're dealing with a madman. I don't know if that was a wise decision to say. I understand the balls you wanted to have and but I don't know if Colombia might be right next on his target for even calling him out.
Yeah, I mean, I did see. I saw that briefly this earlier today, right before I came on, but I didn't get a chance to really look at it because it was like being recorded. It was being recorded like what, yesterday or something like that.
Yeah, yesterday.
And I came across it briefly before I came on today, so I didn't really get a chance to dive into it a little bit. I'll probably pay attention to that in a few minutes here because I'm about to get off here because I'm hungry. It's lunchtime.
All right, nice talking to you again, once again.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Interesting show today. Didn't quite go the way I thought it was going to go, but it went the way it went. So I'll take it. I appreciate you guys for being here today. You know, these shows never go the way I think that they're going to go. But hey, it is what it is. I do know tomorrow we're gonna talk about women being property in the Bible, and the fact that if you are a Christian and you support the Bible, then women should be viewed as property. And we're going to go over a lot of the information based on the Bible that shows that women are nothing more than property. So that's our conversation for tomorrow. And y'all know it's rare when I know what I'm going to talk about the next day, but I appreciate you guys. So actually that damn furniture gallery might be here by now. They're supposed to be here by starting from 3 to something. But anyway, so yeah. So I appreciate you guys, and I look forward to our conversation tomorrow. I am in support of these monks walking for peace, and it's not because they're Buddhist or anything else. It's just the concept of peace. I think that everybody in the world deserves peace, that everybody should have the opportunity to live their life how they choose to live it, as long as it doesn't harm someone else's life. It seems that man has an issue with that. Man seems to have problems with people trying to live in peace, trying to live their own lives. Everybody wants to take. There were plenty of gifts that were given on TikTok today. I want to thank you guys for doing that. I try not to interrupt someone when they're talking, just to thank people for gifts. But if you didn't see, if you see me doing this or something like that, then I'm thanking you without interrupting whoever talking. So thank you guys for the gifts. Thank everybody who was subscription holders, subscribers, members, super chatters. I appreciate all of you guys tremendously. Keep subscribing, keep sharing. I should be able to produce a couple of videos today. Y'all know I got to eat lunch first, and then my wife gets home around 5:15 now that we've moved closer to where she works. So I try to get some videos out today. But y'all have a great day, and always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. And we clicking the buttons to end the stream.